You tell us about one of your instances that you've done a large deal. Like, what was the dollar amount to that deal? If you could share that with us, and like, what was the experience through that process?
I would say it wasn't a single. I think one of my best solo years, about 2022, I got like $1.8 million solo for like 10 different projects. And it ranged between the Omega Lamplighters, which is a youth program. Appreciate that. It was the Omega Lamplighters, which is a youth program under Omega Psi Phi fraternity. We got our first allocation there. I had one allocation. Man, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, the hip hop lobbyist. Man, it's election night in America. And we kind of late, but it's okay. Because guess what? It's the family first. And honestly, had to take care of home. I think that's most important. And I think most Americans today did the same thing. There have been historic elections today throughout the country. And Virginia wrapped up earlier. We're going to go there first. Start off with some of the results. We have a new governor in Virginia. But let me make sure my setup's correct. And we're going to have my boy Feezy the Great on the stream later for election night. We are live on YouTube right now. To make sure we're good. Make sure my sound's there. We got people here. So let's go ahead and switch over to Virginia for where it's at. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Let's get to the good shit, right?
Website here shows that Abigail Spanberger has nearly a 30-point lead over Winsome Earl Sears here in Loudoun County. And we've been talking about this county and why it's so significant. Let's rewind to the presidential election in 2020. President Trump was running for re-election. He lost Loudoun County by 25 points. During last year's presidential election, he still lost Loudoun County, but he lost it by 16 points. So whatever the results are tonight, and we're getting those preliminary results in right now, you know, is the momentum continuing for Republicans in this county? It certainly doesn't look like it based off of what we saw. Hey, I posed one question in specific to all of the voters who were leaving this polling place in the final moments of voting today. One word to describe the 2025 Virginia gubernatorial race.
Chaotic, surprisingly chaotic.
Complicated.
One word?
One word.
It's life-changing.
Damn.
Interesting. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's technically two words, but it's one phrase.
Like, put a hyphen in the
Put
middle.
a hyphen in the middle.
I feel like it's critical that people who are unhappy come out and exercise their constitutional rights while we still have some before. I mean, there's some pretty scary stuff going on, so
your word is critical.
critical.
I didn't expect to hear or see some of the things that I was hearing from those debates especially was interesting, to say the least.
Exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah.
How so?
Because, I mean, no matter which way you vote, there's two women that are running for Congress or for governor, so that's
Great
exciting.
point, great
History.
point. Clock
Yeah,
it,
we're making
clock
history,
it.
baby. Let's go.
Clock it.
Yeah, no matter which side you fall on, it's going to be a historic night because Virginia is going to have the next governor will be a female for the first time in the Commonwealth's history. 1,200 people, over 1,200 people, walked through this door here at this elementary school in Ashburn today to vote. And those preliminary election results coming in showing a huge favoring for Abigail Spanberger in Loudoun County, guys. Back to you.
And they've actually called it for Abigail, the next governor of Virginia. I'm going to switch over here to some coverage in New York City.
We talk about an age gap.
Wow.
We talk about an experience gap. It's a it's a generational gap, really.
I mean, in 1991, I was -8 years old.
Oh, yes,
and
there
I
you
think
go.
certainly the biggest split in terms of voter preference in this primary is age, and I think we will see that play out again tonight with Mamdani
So have a whole
overwhelmingly
other hour
winning
till
that under 45 vote.
New York
He
comes
also
in.
is, you know, he started at kind of a deficit with voters over 45. He slowly whittled that down. I expect that's a demographic he might lose by maybe single digits, but under 45s, I would say that's 20, 30, 40 points in his favor.
I don't think we should overlook too the fact that age has something to do with it, but also this kind of looming threat from Washington, right? That like things are about to get really hard, folks. Like you thought it was bad before, affordability was non-existent before, you know, all of these things were kind of really difficult. it's about to get worse. People's SNAP benefits were cut off already. Like, this is about to get a little crazy. And I think that's also kind of inspiring people to say, what do we have to lose? Like, let's do something different.
You know, it's interesting. It's almost like, in some ways, Donald Trump helped organize the Mamdani phenomenon, if not the campaign itself. I talked with Susan Kang, who's a leader in the DSA, and she talked about what she called the Trump bump, that in 2016, after Trump got elected, what had been a couple of dozen people who might come to a monthly meeting of the DSA became hundreds of people because people, you know, were activated by what they were seeing out of Washington.
DSA and other left-leaning organizations, they perform best in insurgent races that have happened while Trump was president. And I think, yes, to your point, a huge story of Mamdani's success has been that it came in the early months of Trump 2.0. I think some of this incredible voter turnout that we're seeing right now in the general, with estimated over 2 million votes, is a consequence of this being the first big election 11 months into Trump's second term.
And did any of the candidates explicitly say that? Give a big middle, you know, vote for me and together we'll give a big middle finger to Donald Trump. I don't think it was quite that raw.
I think Cuomo came close, right? He came close in saying, like, we have to fight. We have to fight D.C. together, and we'll fight it together.
Right.
I don't think he ever mentioned Trump's name.
Right. Well, actually, I do remember from the debate, they were all sort of taking different approaches. Sliwa was saying, look, you have to cooperate with the guy. You got to give a little to get a little. Mamdani says, I'm here to fight him. I'm his worst nightmare.
Hey, Chris.
And Cuomo was somewhere in between.
Hey, Central Lady.
Cuomo's kind of changed his tune now the last 24 hours with, you know, Trump trying to signal to Republicans that Curtis Sliwa was not viable, between the bad Democrat and the communists, as he says, pick the bad Democrat.
Let's take a quick look at one more map in our last minute. This is Michael Lang's analysis of where he expects the vote to play out in Queens, a very important borough. And, well, explain this. What are you seeing there? Well, I mean, we on the West, we have that Western left-wing insurrection that's been going on for about 10 years.
That's Mamdani's
assembly. I'm gonna pause this so we could look at it right here. So you have the Republican plurality taking whatever part of Queens this is. So they're going to take this southwestern portion. Mamdani is really holding on the central part of Queens and some of this north side. And Cuomo really patching it in. So it really looks like a lot of New York, I assume, will come out the same way. And if Mamdani's, if these people come out, or like this turnout is showing, listen, it's about to be some smoke in the city.
Right, there you go. And then where's that red on the north coast? Is that northeast Queens there?
Yeah, it's like Whitestone.
Right.
Yeah, Murray Hill, Queensboro Hill, Little Bayside, Bay Terrace as well.
Got it.
Yeah.
I see that that dark blue belt in the middle.
Hillside Avenue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Southeast Asian community there. And what's happening down there in the south?
Well, I think similar to kind of what we discussed with the Brooklyn map is that Queens is also home to kind of, I would say, the epicenter of the city's black middle class. And I think the big point for the viewership is that if Mamdani, again, as the Democratic nominee, wins over black voters substantially, as, you know, they're traditionally more loyal to the party, then a landslide, a mandate victory is almost inevitable. If it's a little closer, then his math to a rout of Cuomo gets a little more difficult.
Okay. Thank you both very much. Thanks for coming in to help us make sense of some of this before the numbers come rolling in. Just a reminder before we go to break, the polls are closing in a little over an hour at 9 o'clock. If you haven't voted, just go right ahead. We will be here when you get back. And don't go anywhere. In a few minutes, our special coverage of election night will continue. We've got preliminary results, live coverage from election parties, and a whole lot more. Stay with us.
Now I'm going to switch over to, even though it's election night, hold on. There was a crash in Kentucky.
Thoughts that we
at least 3 people believed to be dead on election night. A UPS plane crash outside of Louisville near airport. So getting
care of ourselves and one another.
Just hopping in on the press conference, if anything.
Okay, my name is Betsy Rui, and I represent Metro Council District 21, and the airport is in the heart of my district. And first, I would like to thank all the leadership of the first responders behind us and all the first responders out there in the field. This is what you all train for. I'm sad that we have to actually use all your training, but I'm glad that you have it. And my heart goes out to everybody at UPS, because this is a UPS town. My cousin's a UPS pilot. My aide's tennis partner is a UPS pilot. The intern in my office works overnight at UPS to pay for college. We all know somebody who works at UPS. And they're all texting their friends, their family, trying to make sure everyone is safe. Sadly, some of those texts are probably going to go unanswered. My heart goes out to those families and those friends. And thank you.
Want to acknowledge we also have our FBI special agent in charge with us today. Are grateful for her participation. With that, I'll open it up to questions, but a couple of things. I'm not going to speculate about the cause. That's for the NTSB to determine, and do not want to interfere in that in any way. And the other thing I'd say is we'll get more information on the numbers of fatalities. We'll get more information on the number of injuries. Know that information is fluid. I would tell you, after the tornado in Mayfield, I was standing outside of a factory where I was sure 100 people were dead. And we ended up only losing 13, and that's a lot of people. But pray. It works. It helps. Let's pray that the number of Kentuckians or any other folks that we lost stays as low as possible. With that, if you have questions, I'll do my best.
Do we know of any people who are currently trapped? Are you responding to any of that right now?
I don't believe, yeah.
So we do not know of anybody that are trapped, but the units on scene, as I said, we're trying to surround and contain that. As we move in, we are searching every building, every area, and like Director Myman mentioned, all the buildings that are outside of that immediate hazard zone are being searched as well to make sure that those are clear and safe.
If you see the live images that thankfully emergency management can get, you see these heroic firefighters moving from building to building to building as fast as they can, because if somebody's trapped, they're going to get to them.
And we're seeing the shelter in place change. Just recently, they asked for anyone who's in the shelter in place to turn off any air intake systems as soon as possible. Can you explain the range of the shelter in place?
Yeah, so right now it's from the airport, basically from the airport or right around the outer loop area north. If you live in Jefferson County and you're in that, I know that's a circle that's on the screen up there behind you guys, but you know, we're thinking anybody north of that, we hope to be able to narrow that down as accurate plume modeling is taking place, and it should be done now. So we may be able to reduce that even more, that footprint even more here just in the next couple of hours.
And Jody, what are the concerns for the people in that shelter in place?
Right now, that's it. The smoke, for the most part, is going up into the atmosphere and going north. We've also been in touch with our partners from Clark County, Indiana, because some of the smoke is going towards them as well. So they're making decisions. So if you live on the other side of the river, please make sure that you're paying attention. If there is any notifications that are going out over there, make sure you're paying attention to those as well.
And there's a lot of numbers we're getting from the fire chief. I think he said 220,000 gallons. It's 220,000 pounds, which is about 38,000 gallons. So he remembered those numbers a lot better than I would without them written down. Right, anybody else? Yeah.
I believe you said that the status of the 3 crew members is unknown right now. Can you elaborate on why that is?
We have not received information we can confirm on their status. From the videos that I've seen, I'm very concerned for them. But again, I'm still praying because I've seen people make it out of things in these last 6 years that I didn't think were possible. We'll have more information soon, and we'll also want to make sure before we confirm anyone specific is deceased that we've talked to their family, who deserve to hear that information first.
I know that you're asking the community to be patient because this is a very fluid situation, but obviously people are very concerned. When do you guys think the next press conference will be beyond the 8:15 one?
Yeah, we'll get that information out. Depending on how much news there is, we may be able to get it out on social media or release directly, but we'll work with our news partners, knowing that this is information that people want and need, and please direct any questions to us. But we don't currently have another one scheduled yet. We'd want to make sure we had enough information that came in to warrant it.
Has there been any update at all when it comes to possibly resuming airport operations in Louisville? Would that
So the airport is going to have their press conference here right when we're done, and are going to start addressing that. What I'd say, even with somebody who's supposed to have a flight here soon, is they should only do it when it's safe. And you know, this is a great airport that I've used a lot. I trust their leadership, and I'll look forward to hearing what they have to say. All right, thank you all very much. And again, tough day for Louisville, tough day for Kentucky, tough day for this region. We are strong people. I've seen it time and time again, flooding, tornadoes, shootings. That's the last time I drove here this fast to make sure I got here. We've always banded together. We will again. Let's make sure before anything else, we put the families of those that are lost, the families of those that we're worried about first. They deserve it. Let's make sure we pray for them and we support them with everything we have. Thank you, Kentucky.
And my condolences across the board there, because it's really sad when people doing their job and, you know, people focus on elections and everything else happening in the world, but there's still unfortunate things that happen. And I hate to, you know, go back to politics after that, but going back to checking the Virginia race here, let's see what's happening with some of this Virginia update. Abigail's kicking ass over Winsome. And the thing is, to be fair, the Winsome part, I think I heard you, Feezy. You there? Hold on. No, that's this mic. Let me mute this out. It's more of a fact of Winsome was sending me text messages in Florida. So I just want to know who was your campaign reaching out to, because clearly I've never voted in Virginia. But for some odd reason, your campaign team continued to text me as if I was going to support you. How's your mic looking? Oh. Good. Can you hear me? There you go. I hear you now, brother. There you go. I hear you perfect. All right, so let me switch this over real quick. Yeah, your lighting's a little bright, but we'll get this together. Appreciate y'all's patience on the stream. Hold on, let me set this up. Bam, bam. Oh. There we go. Got my dog Finzel on the misspelled Mamdani's main corrected, please. My bad, y'all. I'll correct it and I'll put the next poll. People gonna spell it wrong one way or another. Either way, appreciate y'all tapping in for the stream. It is your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. My boy Finzel. Right. How you doing tonight, brother?
They finna fight you.
No, they ain't finna fight me. Not over Mamdani. Not over Mamdani tonight, man. My bad. What's the poll say? I'm gonna end that one. My bad on that one, y'all. Listen. Feezy, how's your day going, brother? Finzel.
It's going good. It's going good. I ain't got no complaints at all, man. Just a long day. It's a long day, my brother.
I feel you. I feel you. So have you heard of this Jay Jones guy out of Virginia running for Attorney General? I'll put this up on the main screen. See what this. You haven't heard of Jay Jones? All right, this race is kind of close. Let me make sure the people on my vertical can see it. All right. Jay Jones is a Democrat running for Attorney General. Very close race. But if you look at the Jay Jones text messages, and it's coming from a Democrat, this man is unfit to serve, right? So what I've heard from my contacts in Virginia, Feezy, right, is this gentleman, Democrat Jay Jones, had a relationship with another member. Long story short, he sent text messages to another member saying, basically, if I had 3 bullets, I put one in both of your kids' head and one of your husband, maybe, and maybe one of you. Right? And it's kind of crazy to think that Democrats wouldn't denounce this guy. Or even the fact of 703,000 people still supported this guy
I did hear that.
to this point. I think it's absolutely crazy. to be fair and call it fair with Democrats. It's like, how this guy's unfit to serve. And that percentage, listen, that's a very close race, but I don't think that brother's fit to serve, man. Either way, man. What are your thoughts on that before I pull the text messages up?
I agree with you. I don't think that it's fair that
election night in Virginia,
that anybody of that nature
we begin
should
tonight
be
with some
able
breaking
to
news. NBC News now projects
not
Abigail Spanberger
serve in that capacity, because regardless of how we may feel about the government or how they operate, the reality is that they still have to be held to a certain standard.
Facts.
And the fact that they don't operate in a standard of that way, that's where it gets a little sticky. And it's hard to keep faith in something like that when you have somebody with such high position and has such high regard does not act in that way. Even if they're faking it, it's just hard to not pay attention to that.
Yeah. I'm gonna flip over for the stream, at least, for them to check out and read this message, and not to belabor the issue, but I think it's kind of fitting to at least show the message of the potential. Hold on, this is an ad popping up in front of mine. Nope, cut the ad off. God, dog, that's what I hate about, bruh. Every website you have an ad for an ad, bruh. Chill on the ads for once, bruh. Anyway, here we go. The man's text message. Jay Jones. Hold on, let me just. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets in the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew, 2 of the worst people you know, and he received both bullets every time. Jay, please stop. Now, these were text messages. Another Republican representative from Chesterfield County. And this happened in 2022. So this isn't like 2001, 1982. This is at post-pandemic. And when you get to a point of saying, like, bruh, how can 712,000 now people still support this guy? How can that be taken out of context? And that's the part that was kind of troubling, because the narrative for Virginia or Democrats, is we're the dangerous ones, right? But it's election night in America. Let's get an update on this one.
Their opposition to Donald Trump. I talked to Virginia House Speaker Don Scott a little earlier this evening before we heard the final results. He was expecting this result, but this is what he said about that statistic that showed how voters feel about Donald Trump.
Women's health care and the economy. Those are the top 2 that I voted for, that aligns with my values. Ms. Spanberger has a very good record, and she seems to be not too much to the left or to the right. She seems moderate, and that's what we need.
This administration has done so much. People complain about job cuts at the national level. Okay, we get that. That happens. But this administration has done so much to help buffer that by creating jobs.
Creating jobs, AI taking?
That was not Speaker Don Scott. That was some of the voters we talked to up in Dumfries earlier today, talking about why the first favored Abigail Spanberger, the second Winsome Earl-Sears, and that first voter, she is probably celebrating along with everybody here tonight. But what Speaker Don Scott was reflecting is that, again, as I've been mentioning, he thinks that this election in Virginia was a referendum on Donald Trump. and he's hoping that the president takes notice. You see that this room, the big banners for Abigail Spanberger, but this is going to be a unified Democratic event tonight. Candidate for lieutenant governor, for attorney general, they will all be joining in here this evening, and I expect it won't be too long here before we hear from Abigail Spanberger. Back to you now in the studio.
That was our question, and you say a unified room, but if it doesn't break that way, all blue, we will hear from every candidate on that stage, I'm assuming. Is that right?
I hope so, man.
I have not had a promise of that, but I would expect at some point, you know, even losing candidates generally want to thank their supporters. So we'll be waiting to see if all.
So what happened in Georgia? I got to catch up on the Georgia races, Feezy. Any updates that I got to get to before we get put them up on the stream? I know we had some big races in Metro Atlanta. Maybe.
Actually, I
am
it's
next in the
watching them as we speak. So get back to me.
I got you. I'm actually just pulling some up on the side. I got some mayoral races in Atlanta. Just going through Stone Mountain Mayor. We have nothing reporting in there yet. But I think the mayor was pretty safe, wasn't he? But Andre, he should have been pretty straight, I believe. But Fitz Johnson getting his ass beat right now by Peter Hubbard.
I mean, Andre.
Yeah, Andre.
To be Andre, you got to be Bruce Wayne with a cape on, because I'm not gonna lie. Since Andre been in office, Andre has been amazing. So it's gonna be a little tough.
Yeah, that's a done deal. 33,000 votes to Eddie Meredith's 2,000. William Jackson's 1,800, and Helmet had 1,300. And yeah, the man's not doing bad enough to take him out. And clearly 86% of the vote. I don't even know why I wasted y'all time and money campaigning. I guess. I want to the city Atlanta president's race. Yeah, she won. Oversteer, 56% of the vote.
It's the I call it the Tallahassee legislator effect. It's not about the race you run; it's about where you land after the race is over.
Yeah. Pretty dominant city council races too. Not even really close. But they say New Jersey has been called. I'm gonna get back to it. I know Miami's going to a runoff. That'll be interesting by itself. I wait on the Virginia governor to get on the stream as well. Let's see. Hold on, where's this shit at? Atlanta's still going through. Come on, Virginia want it. Hold on. There we go. Hold on.
Politics that it is highly unusual for GOP ticket candidates not to be here at the same party, election night party, because we know that Jason Miyares is in Virginia Beach. But a somber mood here. Not a lot of people, I would say, showed up tonight, but definitely I could tell not very happy in this room right now.
All right, quite a difference from what we just saw a moment ago in Richmond. Jessica, thank you. I guess the big question, if Spanberger is projected to be the winner, how big? Can she hold that double-digit lead that she had for weeks and weeks leading up to this election?
Absolutely. Erica Gonzalez is at the big board. She has been watching these numbers come in. Erica, where do things stand?
Right. So let's talk about some of those numbers, Jen, that you were talking about. How big has her commanding lead been in this race? So again, the NBC News decision desk has gone ahead and called it for Abigail Spanberger. Still 41% of the vote is in the state of Virginia. But I want to look specifically at why
the Democrats are getting New York City.
So we'll look at places
like
50.
It'll be a good night.
We have talked about extensively this evening with 97% of the vote. And Abigail Spanberger has what, like a nearly 30% lead in Loudoun County, okay? If you go to Fairfax County, look at this, look at these numbers. These are huge. Like, this has been a message, a resounding message that Abigail Spanberger and company has been sending. Look at what has happened in Fairfax County there. That's how big these margins have been. Prince William County with 62% of the vote. And again, we're talking another plus 30% difference between Abigail Spanberger and her opponent, Winsome Earl Sears. Those are massive margins. Those are actually...
Black Republicans are not wanted in Virginia, clearly. They're just not a thing.
If I pull this out here, let me do this, do one more, let me do one more here. Abigail Spanberger right now, that's Prince William County. But if we looked at, I'm going to pull this off. Sorry, I got to show you Loudoun County. Okay, Loudoun County here, 97% of the vote in. Pull out this door again, and let me take you all the way back to 2020. Abigail Spanberger, we talked about how big the commanding lead was for Joe Biden in 2020 in Loudoun County, 25% difference. Abigail Spanberger has blown out that number. She is doing better this evening than Joe Biden did in 2020 in Loudoun County and several other counties, as we saw a moment ago. So that is the overarching story and why it seems like the decision desk has gone ahead and called this race so early on this evening. It was right around the 8 o'clock hour that the decision desk made that call. So just huge numbers for Abigail Spanberger this evening. An incredible story. And again, how big are those margins? Actually, hold on, let me come back here. Let me show you the difference now. Let's go Attorney General. Okay, 97% of the vote in, we're talking about Loudoun County, but if I look statewide again, this is why this is so different. Right. This is why this is so different, because look at the margin here. It's less than 1%. Less than 1%, when before we were seeing maybe a difference of maybe 20%. And now you've got less than 1% here. This is why this is now going to be a razor-thin race, and perhaps why this may be one of the later races that we'll be watching this evening, because this is going to be so close. That is huge there. Less than 1%.
I just can't see him winning.
Specifically at those other counties. Pull up Loudoun here. There we go. Okay, there now you're starting to see a bit of a break, right? 40 to 59% with 97% of the vote in favor of Jay Jones. They're differentiating himself again in Fairfax County. And then let's go Prince William County there, another difference there, but still a lot of the vote in. And when you look at the overall vote in the state, that less than 1% is going to be perhaps the biggest story that we will be talking about in the days to come.
Absolutely. The way you break that down, it makes it very, very clear. But as you said, this is going to be a razor-thin margin, maybe right down to the very end. Our Ted Oberg has been following these numbers, too, and sort of joins us with why. And we certainly know the October surprise, Ted, had something to do with it.
Yeah, we talked about coattails earlier, Ted. He's going to need massive coattails from Abigail Spanberger.
Yeah, and he's really going to need somewhat of a surprise as the evening goes on. Look, we've been watching the numbers that Erica has been talking about. At one point, the early vote with 1% showed Jay Jones with a 20% lead. Look, no one believed it was ever going to be that, but now it's down to less than 1%. That shows you something. And let me tell you why. Look, 380,000 Virginians voted before these things were ever released. 380,000 votes already in the bag in the Virginia Attorney General's race before the text messages ever become public. Now those votes are already in. What you are seeing now in almost every place in Virginia is day of voting. And those are people who very well know about the Jay Jones texting scandal. The last poll that came out from the Wason Center at Christopher Newport University came out about 5, 6, 7 days before the election, before Election Day. 75% of likely voters polled by that group knew about the text message scandal, and 47% of them said it affected their choice. This had a huge impact on this race, and I think we're seeing that now as the results start to come in. So much money was spent. Jay Jones was outspent by Jason Miyares multiples in the weeks leading up to this election. And it really seems to have made a difference in this race. The most expensive Attorney General's race in the history of the Commonwealth, according to NBC News. And look, one other thing to point out, $70 million has been spent on ads in Virginia How many times have you heard someone say, I am speaking, and then the next ad is Abigail? Well, we can look forward to tomorrow morning when we no longer hear those ads, but it's an awful lot of spending. And here's a bit of context. It's actually a little less than was spent in the Maryland Senate race last year. Point is,
that's absolutely crazy when you think about it. It's a wild, crazy world we live in when a guy who, again, is certified crazy for sending text messages like that anywhere to anybody saying they're going to off somebody's kids, but clearly people didn't care. Jump back into New York, see what's happening.
This was kind of a cordial race to begin with. It's gotten a little soured a little bit in recent weeks, but whoever wins this race will be carrying on the legacy of Bob Holden. Not really too far apart from each other ideologically. As I said, Holden really a conservative Democrat in the council. And then lastly, let me show you District 47 in South Brooklyn. This
I think
is
the reality is that
currently held by Justin Brannon, whose term
it's a lot
limited
more
out of
people
office.
crazy than
His
you
chief counsel.
realize.
Hold on, say it again. Go ahead, bro. Feezy, you heard me? Yo. Denzel. Yeah.
Is Kayla Santos-Suoso. She's running as the Democrat. The Republican is businessman George Sarantopoulos. Interesting district, kind of purplish. It's got Bay Ridge and it's got Coney Island, and then in between some sort of conservative-leaning neighborhoods like Bath Beach, parts of Gravesend, parts of Dyker Heights. So we'll see if this can remain in Democratic hands or whether it ends up getting flipped by the Republicans. And lastly, before I send it back to you, just to mention the 6 ballot questions that you saw on your ballot. If you went to go vote, some of those have to deal with affordable housing here in the city. There's also one that has to do with moving our city elections to presidential years, which would really change the landscape for elections here in the city. So hopefully people flip their ballots and we'll see how they voted on those after 9 o'clock.
All right. Thanks a whole lot, Bobby. We'll start to see some of those numbers popping up within the hour. Meanwhile, on the campaign trail, the candidates for mayor have all clashed over the issues of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. Here's a look back at some of what they had to say.
We should be selling unity, not the division that this man is spreading.
I will protect Jewish New Yorkers and deliver them that safety.
There is no doubt that there's 2 sides on what's going on and the passions are very high. That doesn't justify anti-Semitic behavior in New York. It doesn't justify having a Jewish population that feels unprotected in New York.
It took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque.
They're frightened, they're scared. They view you as the arsonist who fanned the flames of anti-Semitism.
I have sought to be the candidate fighting for every single New Yorker, not simply the Muslim candidate.
Whenever there was a need, whenever the Muslim community needed support, I was there.
I'm not guilty of Islamophobia. I've been out there with the Guardian Angels protecting Muslims and others in this city for 46 years.
It has been a constant talking point on the campaign trail, one that many Muslim and Jewish voters have been paying close attention to. Joining me now to talk about it is a special panel. We've got Amit Singh Baga. He's a Democratic strategist who has worked in federal, state, and local government. David Greenfield is with us. He's a longtime community leader and a former member of the city council. He currently serves as CEO of the group Met Council, a Jewish charity that serves New Yorkers in need. Welcome back to the program, both of you. When you and I spoke, David, not that long ago after the primary was over, you said that the question for you was whether or not there was going to be enough leadership coming from Mamdani to satisfy you and other leaders of the Jewish community that he was somebody that you could be open to, that you were never going to see eye to eye on Israel, Zionism, or a number of other things, but that you might be able to reach an accommodation as far as what's needed for the city. How do you feel about that so far?
Look, I think campaigns are a lot of hyperbole, right? I think everything that you're hearing is really the extremes. The reality is that, Zoran has made some overtures. Obviously, we are keen to see what happens next. I do think it is fair to say that there is a lot of concern in the Jewish community. But, you know, decisions that he's made, like offering the position of police commissioner to Jessica Tisch, that's significant, right? Jessica's a proud member of the Jewish community, someone obviously that we all feel very confident and supportive of. And so I think that we're going to have to see what happens tomorrow. It's a new day. Governing is very different than campaigning. And I would be very keen to see whether, in fact, he will tackle the issues of anti-Semitism. And certainly, if he's successful, we will give him the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm. And Amit, some of this is driven by, as well as whatever happens tonight, is driven by numbers. You've been one of the chroniclers of the growth in the South Asian community, the growth in the Muslim community, and now what we see is the political activation of both of those communities, which really sort of form the base of, or a big part of the base of Mamdani's political campaign. How does that change the conversation, the traditional New York conversation about anti-Semitism, tolerance, the Middle East, and so forth?
Well, I think everyone can agree that it is a true New York story, that New York City is always evolving. You know, 100 years ago, the Jews and the Italians and the Russians were brand new to New York City, and there was probably a conversation then about how the demographics of the city were changing then. We've seen that those demographics have shifted quite a lot since the 70s and 80s. When my parents first came to New York in 1970, I think there were something like 10,000 Indians in the city of New York. We're now looking at something like almost 500,000 South Asians. And this growth has been driven recently, primarily since the year 2010, by Bangladeshi New Yorkers, as well as New Yorkers from Nepal and Tibet. And so this has changed the composition of New York. And I think one of the things we also have to remember is that when people come from all over the world to New York City, they bring a certain set of their own political experiences. Bangladeshis in particular have been very politically activated in this century. They fought in the War of Independence against Pakistan in the mid-1970s. There was a tremendous amount of organizing around language, around issues of the economy. And so Bangladeshi New Yorkers have entered the political arena in a different way than even other South Asian counterparts. And so even though we've had this growing South Asian community for decades in New York City, we're really starting to see that Zoran Mamdani's candidacy has started to bring out South Asians in a different way and Muslims in a different way, precisely because he is actually centering that experience as opposed to hiding from it. And that is something really unique and different about this candidacy.
You know, something I've been concerned about as I've seen some of what I consider the worst negative ads I've ever seen. I mean, you know, AI makes it possible for you to just sort of, you know, spit all kinds of horrible negative fantasies out there and then, you know, generate the images. And, you know, most of the people involved in it, I think, should be ashamed of themselves and probably have no place in public life. Honestly, it's been that bad. On the other hand, it becomes all of our responsibility tomorrow morning to try and put the city back together again. How do we do that?
Yeah, so I think about the AI piece, I will say that I think most voters are actually turned off by AI. I think the reason they get so many clicks is people are actually outraged at how obscene some of these AI ads are. So I don't think it's actually resonating. I think that if folks look in terms of how Zoran ran his campaign, I think that his authenticity is actually one of the most important things in his campaign. I think that we need to focus on the things that bring people together. And I think the point about hearing about the immigrant experience, I think, is wonderful. That's what makes New York, New York. And we celebrate the fact that immigrants are excited about a candidate and they're coming out to the polls in droves. I think that's amazing. I think that we have some issues that we disagree on, and we can agree to disagree on Israel and Palestine, and that's okay. And we need to focus on the issues that matter. We're in a SNAP crisis right now. There's 1.8 million New Yorkers who literally don't know where they're getting their food from this week. Donald Trump has publicly said that he's going to ignore a federal order that orders him to put the money back in there. We're working overtime to try to meet that need. These are the issues, I think, that we should be working on as New Yorkers, and I think we have to acknowledge that no one's coming to save us. We have to take care of ourselves, our own city, our own state, our own people.
What about now?
We have to remember that we're New Yorkers first, and we have to come back together regardless of what happens tonight. Put that aside tomorrow morning and work in the best interest of the future of the city of New York.
No question about it.
Let me go to my audio setting, but I
Zoran
can't hear you at all.
Mamdani gave what I consider an extraordinary speech that he addressed specifically to the Muslim community. And it's when you read the text of it that you realize it's actually a very, very powerful speech. His delivery was just kind of, you know, sort of passionate, earnest. He looked right into the camera. But when you read the words, it was really quite defiant. And he sort of summarized almost a quarter century of grievances that he said, of people being mistreated and of a community being made to feel like it's a guest in the city that they helped build and are currently running. That suggests to me that, as is often the case in these sort of questions of ethnic succession, I guess is the sociological term, when new immigrant groups are getting a seat at the table. It's not necessarily going to be a smooth process, and there are some grievances that have to at least be aired, if not actually resolved.
That's 100% right. You used the word guest. I would go a little further.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, hey, chat, y'all can't hear me. I'm muted because I'm trying to get Feezy's mic right. Because I don't know what's wrong with Feezy's mic. I'm trying to tell him to take the headphones off, but for some odd reason, his audio is coming in bad. So that's the issue. We got my homie on the stream, and we're trying to get his audio right, and that's why I had to call on top of a business check-in call. We're trying to get the audio right, but appreciate y'all's patience.
It's actually been weaponized against many different communities. We know that former Mayor Michael Bloomberg ran a undercover, years-long NYPD surveillance operation where they infiltrated mosques all over the city and really ultimately sowed a lot of terror and fear into otherwise law-abiding New Yorkers who really just want to be able to get through their day, try to afford the roofs over their heads, try to put food on the table. As David was saying, people have really critical needs that need to be met, and city government's primary role is ensuring that we meet those needs. And so I think in the process of, in the absence, let's say, of a formal Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the likes of which you might have seen in other places, we have a really unique opportunity in this moment to have an honest conversation about South Asians, not just Muslims, but South Asians broadly in New York City, the role that we play in our economy, in our civic life, and the ways in which we have actually been mistreated and we have been maligned. And so this, I think, for South Asians, this presents a unique and first of its kind opportunity to re-enter civic life.
Yeah, I thought this was a theme even before Mamdani's rise, is that the way we treat immigrants in this city of immigrants is really disgraceful to a certain extent. If you look at sort of where people end up socially and economically and how they're marginalized, you know, we have a lot of, you know, kind of warm, romantic rhetoric about the Statue of Liberty and the city of immigrants, but it's, you know, there's a lot that needs to change.
Look, I think what has to change is the politics of fair should really end tonight, right? I don't think that there's any objective person who looked at this campaign and said, wow, this is really great that we've managed to increase anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and discrimination against immigrants, right? That's obscene. I think that what really moves New York, what moves New York is what moves voters, is a positive vision forward. And I think we all have a responsibility, we're leaders, to get together and say, okay, where are the pain points? Where can we work together? Where can we lift each other up? In a time, I will say this again, where I honestly believe no one's coming to save New York. In fact, we've heard very explicitly that New York is going to be under attack over the next few years, financially and politically. If we're not coming together tomorrow and working, we've got bigger problems than our problematic campaign.
It's true. We're right. Save the city first, and then we can get back to our own little, you know, parochial fight. Listen, thanks so much for coming by. Great talking with you. Stick around. We've got a lot more to talk about throughout the night. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, the race for mayor is making national waves. President Trump weighing in on what should happen in his hometown. We're going to bring you a report from Washington, D.C. in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
I love this city. It's just getting so expensive, and I feel like the city has so many opportunities for people, so many, so much culture, so much tradition, and we should be able to live here. We should be able to afford to live here.
Output, input, here. Okay, now. Still up.
All right, so hold on. Let me get back to the stream. We're trying to work out these audio issues, chat. And
Go back to the stream.
That's an issue. Well, hold on. Let me mute that so we get some of this background noise out as we go through some of the other races that are happening in the world. Well, some Sears addresses the people. Gotta hear what Winsome has to say. The crowd done sparsed out. They're not trying to hear nothing, but we have audio issues. We've been trying to work it out. Go ahead, Feezy, say something. Let's see if we can at least get your audio in for the chat.
Testing. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
We got you. You know, I have your audio coming through. Go ahead, brother.
It's coming through, but is it low?
I mean, I bumped it up. I bumped it up for what it needs to be.
Oh, you bumped it up so it ain't low to the flow?
Yeah, I just can't have you in the background talking at the same time, but it's working through. It's all right. That's all right. The chat said that's all right. So you here, brother. So go ahead. I know we've been here working through the audio issues for about 30 minutes. Go ahead and reintroduce yourself to the stream while we wait on Winsome Sears to give her concession speech in the good state of Virginia. Did you hear me, bro?
Oh, I heard you, but I also heard you say you wanted to wait for the speech. My bad.
No,
Anyway,
I was saying go ahead because she ain't talking now.
My bad. Fees of the great. Hey, I'm back. I'm out the garage. Shout out. You feel me? We doing this. Hey man, back at it. Happy election night. We finna get this started.
If it's your first time here, I'm your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbies. Feezy is my co-host of the Just Politicking podcast, our other channel. You can just make sure you follow the Just Politicking, where it's more the cultural conversation than it is the politics. You know, you come here for more of the whatever I decide to stream for the most part. Just going through some of the election night happens. I think Mamdani is going to pull the upset tonight. New Jersey's governor had a win there. We're going to go highlight some of that and also get to the governor's speech. Oh, Abigail's actually speaking now. Let me flip over to Governor Abigail and her speech. Hold on. Wait, there we go.
Hello, Virginians. Tonight, we sent a message.
Why is volume so low?
We sent a message to every corner.
I can't even hear this message. Hold on. What is Abigail around here speaking about live? Oh, that ain't it. My bad, chat.
For Virginia's future, and we can set an example for the rest of the nation.
What kind of governor doesn't have good mics?
Our founders understood this from the very beginning.
My volume's all the way up.
Call Virginia a Commonwealth.
I'm not even standing for this. I'm going to
CNN projects that former Democratic Congresswoman
I'm not
and
even
CIA
listening to
case
that.
officer Abigail Spanberger will be elected the governor of Virginia, defeating the Commonwealth's sitting lieutenant governor, Republican Winsome Earl Sears. Abigail Spanberger will become the very first woman governor in the history of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Again, CNN projects that Abigail Spanberger will be elected governor of Virginia. CNN's Jeff Zeleny is at the Spanberger campaign headquarters in Richmond, Virginia, the capital of Virginia. And Jeff, it must be pretty jubilant there as far as I can see from behind you.
Jake, it definitely was. This crowd here just learned moments ago that the projections are calling this race for Abigail Spanberger. Now, that is not necessarily a surprise because they were confident going into this. But what they are seeing in the particular counties is really giving them a bit of a lift. Loudoun County, for example, right outside Washington, D.C., that is going very strong for her. And you can hear the crowd behind me now as they see more of these numbers come in. Abigail Spanberger represented the Richmond area when she was elected to Congress back in 2018. She won a red seat. She used really this moderate Democratic message, but also had some tough medicine for Democrats who she believed were leading the party astray. So it is going to be very fascinating here as Abigail Spanberger begins her governorship here. It's a historic one when she takes office in January. How does she lead Virginia? What type of path does she make? But there's no doubt she talked very little about Donald Trump in the final days of this race, but Donald Trump was on the mind of many voters. So I just talked to a school teacher here, Jake, who brought her...
Real quick, Feezy. Do you think it was Donald Trump, the shutdown, or Snap that made people come out to vote this much? So, you know, a woman was going to win in Virginia regardless, right? But out of everything, was it Trump, Snap, or these federal government cuts that you really think helped drive people to the polls?
Can I use D all of the above?
So what?
Can I use D all of the above?
Yeah, you can say all of the above, but I mean that's
which
a given.
one?
I'm
Which
asking
one
chat
mainly?
at the same time, but just getting your thoughts on it.
I think here's how I feel about that. Give me the three options again. You said Trump, snap, and what was the third one?
Federal government shutdown.
Shutdown.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a trifecta. It's a trifecta. Here's why. So Trump was already trumping, and then you have the government shutdown, which led to the SNAP benefits getting cut. Now, I think everybody was okay with Trump trumping. I think it was what it was. People are used to the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when the government got shut down, it was kind of like, oh, okay, it's a little crazy now. People losing their jobs and stuff, but I don't work for the Fed, so I don't mind. And then when the SNAP benefits came, that was like the slam on brakes. Wait a minute, it done got real. So to answer your question, absolutely SNAP benefits, because that's the main thing that is affecting people right now. Do you know how much a pound of ground beef is right now?
Yeah, but I think those are two different things, though. To be fair,
I mean, yes. What you mean, two different things as far as what?
I think that the price of ground beef is one thing, but I'm not on SNAP. I don't believe you on SNAP, so
I'm not on SNAP. But but the point is that if it's expensive in general, that means if I don't have my SNAP benefits, now I got to come out my pocket $7.99 or however much to buy this ground beef, because beef has went up, just like eggs went up. Even white eggs are the same price as brown eggs in some stores, so you might as well just buy the brown eggs.
But the average person gonna go spend that regardless. So to the average person that's not on food stamps and got to go buy the food, they got to go pay for it regardless. So 40 million people, who probably part of the 90 million people that didn't vote. All right, cool, bomb. Y'all lost your food stamps. The average person still going in the store got to pay. You feel me? So it's kind of like, I get it. I feel food stamps for the food bank piece. Yes, I hate to sound insensitive, but it's kind of like, bruh, there's a good portion of Americans that are going to pay regular price regardless of, and get no handout, no WIC, no SNAP. And I'm not saying it's one of those things. It's unfortunate, but it's at the same time, it's like, damn, like, bruh, I don't know. Maybe it was a shutdown versus SNAP.
But my question for you is, and to your point, what percentage of people, I guess, which demographic of people, or I guess who came? Because your question was what made people come out and vote in, I guess, in such a large number. So my question is that where did this influx in number come from? Does it come from the community of people that use SNAP benefits, or does it come from the community of people who are just regular average Americans who out here that got to go pay the regular bill at the grocery store? And we all know, as of right now, we're talking on a weekly basis at the bare minimum $150, and that's being modest. And then depending on the household we're talking, and that brings up a whole nother conversation. You're easily spending over $500 on the low end a month in groceries, when really it's upper towards $800 to $1,000, depending on what you eat, depending on if you're organic, depending on if you buy, in quantity X, Y, Z. So that's why I'm asking which group of people came out. And I guess because I can see how the shutdown could bring people out, because the shutdown, federal workers, so a lot of the federal workers came out and voted, et cetera, especially we're talking Virginia, that's in the DMV. A lot of people in Virginia work for the federal government, right? I safe to assume. Right. So so that does make your story, that does make your that does make your point. You know what I'm saying? Like, this could be the federal workers like, look, we ain't been to work. TSA ain't been to work. Air traffic control ain't been to work.
Well, they've been to work. They haven't been paid. Some of them just been freestyling, volunteering.
That's what I'm saying. They volunteering, bro. It's at dog. I don't want to disclose where I work at, but I'm at a position where my job has asked me, basically, hey, do you mind, helping out, on a federal level? And I'm like, whoa, what? But again, I understand that, the place that we're in currently. I have friends that work in the federal government. I have friends that live in DC. You know what I'm saying? That's affected by this. That's sitting at home, or who has to go to work and ain't getting paid. Talking about, oh, you're going to get paid, when the government open up. But what day 35, day 34? What day are we in right now?
So what?
What day are we in right now? of the government shutdown.
Oh, shit.
Like 35, 34, 36.
I couldn't even tell you for real. I should know, but I don't.
Right. But either way, man, but yes, but to your point, that could be who this is came out, especially in the Virginia race.
I got you. Let's hop into Cory Booker having a speech with CNN a little while ago.
Your senator from the state of New Jersey, Cory Booker. Nice to see you, Senator.
It's great to see you on an exciting night.
And of course, you were the former mayor of Newark, New Jersey, and the Sherrill campaign is pointing out the fact that turnout has already exceeded 2021 levels in many urban centers. Newark, in Jersey City, in Elizabeth, in Union City. What does that tell you?
It tells me the energy, the excitement is with the Democrats. And really, it's even bigger than that. I think all around New Jersey, people are hurting right now. And this is their first opportunity not only to speak to Mikey Sherrill's qualifications, but to speak against what Donald Trump is doing to our state, where he's wildly unpopular.
All right. The way you talked about that is interesting for Democrats in terms of what lessons may be learned from this campaign. Because Mikey Sherrill's out on the trail talking about Donald Trump, but largely she does it in terms of the economy and affordability. What do you take from that?
Well, that's exactly what I heard crisscrossing the state. People are outraged that their grocery prices are up, energy costs are up, healthcare prices they're now seeing are going to be skyrocketing. New Jersey is a pocketbook state, and Donald Trump has been hurting our pocketbook. And one guy, Chitterelli, said, I'm 100% MAGA, which is almost an insult to a lot of the people that are struggling in this presidency. And Mikey Sherrill says, I'm going to stand up to him and fight for Jersey and to fight to lower these costs.
How is that different materially than, say, a No Kings rally in saying Donald Trump threat to democracy? Because that does feel like a subtly different message.
Look, there's a base of voters in New Jersey that is worried about a lot of things. We're seeing masked agents come out of unmarked cars and drag people away from schools and churches.
Well, are you worried about AI taking jobs? I'm quite sure there's an Amazon facility there where people lost their jobs. I'm quite sure UPS has a facility there where people lost their jobs. Prayers and respects for the UPS workers that lost their life in Louisville tonight. But at the same time, I think there are underlying issues with a lot of these people that aren't just looking at the federal workers, or not just looking at SNAP, or not just looking at the White House. They're looking at the overall piece of, damn, Democrats have the same talking points, but it may not be what I want to engage with, but it's better than Trump. And I think it's less of a fact of Democrats actually winning at this point. I think it's more of a fact of, well, damn, it's better than what we currently have. But I don't think the messaging currently is actually driving the narrative to say, hey, yeah, I want to come out to vote for Democrats. I think it's more like, damn, we need to save some of this democracy. And Democrats happen to be the only option. My 2 cents, at least.
And the like. So there's a lot of things. A president that seems unrestrained by the Constitution, who's frozen so many millions and millions of dollars worth of grants to New Jersey. So all of those things are out there. But number one, first and foremost, New Jerseyans are upset. The cost of living is skyrocketing under a president who promised to do something differently. He seems to be targeting New Jersey on jobs and more. And Chitterelli seems to be in line with him. And Mikey Sherrill says, I'm going to be in line with New Jersey.
So you famously spoke for 25 hours? I'm not selling you short. 25 hours on the Senate floor?
Yes, sir.
All right. You talked about a time of crisis in this country. Again, what might you take from this election going forward back to the Senate when you head back there tomorrow? There's a government shutdown going on. Might that come to an end soon?
Yeah, look, I'm going to tell you right now, I think Republican congresspeople should be watching these races all across America where Democrats are going to do well, because Donald Trump, he is corrupt, he is chaotic, he's cruel, but now we see for the Republican Party, he's cancerous. A lot of folks are going to start seeing that tying their stars, hitching to his candidacy, his brand is going to hurt them. So I think you might see some Republicans waking up and saying, wait a minute, I should be more afraid of the people than I am of Donald Trump, and start standing up to lower health care costs, to work with Democrats, to come together and negotiate with us to do something to lower costs for Americans.
Senator Cory Booker, the senior senator from New Jersey, we do appreciate your time tonight. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm going to go back to Abigail here because the volume is still some shit.
And we're going to produce more energy, and we are going to lower costs, and we're going to do it by producing more energy here in Virginia, and we're going to make sure that large utility users make sure that they pay their fair share.
I don't understand why her mic is so low.
We're going to grow Virginia's economy by investing in apprenticeships and job training of the future. We're going to leverage AI and cutting-edge manufacturing to bring more capital investment into our Commonwealth. We are going to take politics out of our schools. We're going to make sure that teachers are well paid and well respected.
Oh, yeah, shout out to the teachers. Oh, wait, what? Somebody. Yeah, man, you had to give us some water. I mean, we'll call the paramedics.
Yo. That's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What you mean? Okay, they must have got up.
Yeah, somebody passed out at the rally.
Need some milk.
That's wild. The mic low. The governor had to call her first EMT.
Right.
Governor-elect.
First order of business.
Right. Get this passed out person up out of here.
Get them up off the ground now.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's very wild.
We are going to make sure that our teachers are well paid and well respected.
Yeah, run that talking point back, girl. Yeah, we back.
So that our students can focus on actually learning and so that parents know that their children will succeed. And we are going to make our communities safer by providing the training, pay, and support that our law enforcement community needs and deserves. These aren't slogans on a bumper sticker. They are actionable policies that I am ready to implement starting on day one. And starting now, that work begins. So as we begin this transition to a new administration, I want to be absolutely clear about a couple things. First, Virginia is the only state in the South that hasn't restricted women's reproductive rights since...
Okay.
Since the Dobbs decision, and under my watch, it will stay that way.
Uh-oh, there we go.
In Virginia, healthcare decisions about contraception, fertility treatments, and reproductive care will continue to be made between women and their doctors, not politicians.
There we go.
That's a promise I've made and a promise I intend to keep.
I hope Mamdani might better than this.
Stand up for Virginia workers always.
Did they call it?
And right now, our federal workforce is under attack. And the chaos coming out of Washington is killing Virginia jobs and creating economic uncertainty for tens of thousands of families. Government employees, government contractors, small business owners who are impacted by the chaos coming out of Washington. Virginia's economy doesn't work when Washington treats our Virginia workers as expendable. To those who have been impacted by the mass layoffs, by furloughs, by the hardships that you are experiencing, please know that I will direct the full power of the governor's office to support you. And to those across the Potomac who are attacking our jobs and our economy, I will not stand by silently while you attack Virginia's workers.
I will honestly say maybe turn your top light off, bro.
Every single day for every single Virginia jobs.
Yeah.
The ones we have now and the ones we will bring to our Commonwealth into the future. I will stand up to anyone who tries to harm our economy or the livelihoods of our Virginians. As governor, my job will be to put Virginia first, full stop.
Let's go, Gavin.
And tonight, as the governor-elect, I call on Congress, Republicans and Democrats, and our president to make real progress on bringing this shutdown to an end. The Virginians, the Americans who work tirelessly for their fellow citizens deserve nothing less. I know we're living in a time filled with chaos. We live in a time marked by uncertainty. And along the way, we do our best to try and explain it to our kids. I know the list of challenges that we are facing is long, but I also know that the only way we're going to solve these problems is by tackling them together. Democrats, Republicans, independents, all of us.
That's real.
Because that embodies the message that we sent tonight. That is what being a Commonwealth is all about. Standing united for our future. That.
Karen Crockett, y'all are wild in the chat.
That is what Virginia is about. So let's show the world what we're made of. Let's get to work. Thank you all so very much. And I'm so excited we got this party started a little earlier than expected.
Let's see how Jay Jones doing at Virginia. It was a nice little rally. The mics were horrible, but Abigail Spanberger, the new governor of Virginia. Somebody in the chat said Virginia is done. I don't know, man. Virginia just getting started. Yeah, just getting started. We can end this Atlanta page.
Yeah, it's a little rowdy in there. It's a little rowdy in there.
It's a little rowdy.
I read the comments. A little rowdy in there.
Yeah, you know, the chat always gonna do what the chat's gonna do. We're waiting on Winsome Sears. Her crowd is kind of let out. I think they may only have another 30 minutes, so she better hurry on up and skedaddle. Skedaddle in here to talk to her people before they get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? But let's go back to some New York City coverage. New York polls just closed 2 minutes
collapse,
ago.
frankly, in the past.
Make sure we live here. Oh, wait, not that far back.
And with Bobby Kuza at the big board. So there are going to be a lot of people, Ayanna, as I mentioned, who sort of have an explanation about why this happened. But it seems to me you can't discount $100+ million being spent on ads telling people to come out and vote.
Yes, and those ads have not just been on the radio and on television, but also on social media. And so it's been interesting to see the ways in which Instagram and TikTok have really dominated a lot of conversations. There are New Yorkers who their algorithms are getting all, pro-Cuomo content, or people are getting pro-Mamdani content. And it's been fascinating to watch Zoran Mamdani and his real mastery of social media. He has done interviews with you, with MSNBC, but also with people who are popular on social media, people who are popular on TikTok. And I think that has led to part of the ways in which he's been able to mobilize a real ground game, particularly amongst younger New Yorkers.
Our central platform here, of course, is TV, or what they call linear TV. But I know you've also done a lot of social media, and I've noticed throughout this race that when I've done some walk and talk, some interviews, when we post stuff on social media, some of it really takes off. It's not, there's no particular rhyme or reason to it, but sometimes there's interest that takes it into hundreds of thousands of views.
And perhaps one reason why is because on social media, there's an opportunity for people to write a comment, to have, sometimes I notice there are conversations that develop between some of our viewers in the comments on social media in a way that you can't have a conversation with a traditional television ad.
Yeah, no, that's very true. In fact, we have people who are essentially like panelists. You can you can reliably hear from them from a particular point of view on whatever the news at hand might be. Yeah, I guess that is a way of sort of ginning up engagement, because the candidates themselves have been trying to sort of catch fire, you know, every single day. They're posting stuff to try and do exactly that.
Yeah, and some have been more successful at it than others. Andrew Cuomo drew a little bit of criticism from after re-entering the race, saying he will run as an independent in the general election. He released a campaign video on social media, but then people noticed that most of the shots seem to have been recorded from within a 2-block radius of his apartment. And so he did, you know, that's the other thing with social media. There is an opportunity to get some backlash if something doesn't quite land as positively as one might have hoped. And another ad that got a lot of backlash is when Andrew Cuomo tried to use artificial intelligence to create these different Andrew Cuomos doing different jobs. You know, look, New York City, there's a lot of actors. There are a lot of people who take, you know, artistry very, very personally. And so using an AI Andrew Cuomo when you had access to the real Andrew Cuomo didn't go over too well for a lot of people.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I kind of got slammed. I mentioned that, you know, Cuomo was running a better campaign now than he had during the primary, which I think is just objectively true, right?
Yes.
He kind of hit his rhythm. He's getting in the streets. Somebody wrote to me and said, you didn't mention the fact that he's bypassing all of these actors, you know, and that's, you know, that's like a cardinal sin, I guess, in that community. Let's go to our Bobby Kuza. He is not acting. He's
Actually, I'm gonna jump to California because, as you know, Prop 50 is going to be huge in California tonight, and it's going to be Democrats' probably only hope to kind of save what's happening in Texas with redistricting, North Carolina, Illinois. Well, Illinois being a Democratic state, they're going to fight back too. But Florida, in Florida, we have not only a Republican governor and them having a $1.4 million voter registration advantage, but also a fact of they plan on redrawing Florida too to get 5 more seats. So even California's move to get Prop 50 passed, which will basically allow 5 more congressional seats to be drawn in California, it also opens up the question to say, okay, cool. If that's going to happen, then when other states start amending their maps and changing things up, what happens? But let's get into California. We're actually talking about Virginia, but let's jump into Cal and see what's happening in California with Prop 50. Then we're going to get back to some of the early voting numbers coming out of New York.
6 midterm elections. We'll have more election coverage coming up at 6:30, including the latest on the New York City Mayor's race. Of course, if those results come in sooner, we'll bring it to you then, as well as the other national races, along with an announcement by Senator Alex Padilla and his future political plans. Well, now to new developments in the case of shots fired outside Coast Guard Island after the driver of a U-Haul reversed toward officers during an immigration protest.
That's everyday crime in Cali. We ain't worried about everyday crime in Cali.
2 weeks ago. Tonight, we're learning the driver is facing federal.
The results begin to roll in, but we're at 9:05 right now, and the early going obviously looking very good for Zoran Mamdani.
All right, thanks very much, Bobby. And for numbers, I guess if we can translate that into raw numbers, we're talking about 819,000, a little bit more than 819,000 votes that were cast as early votes, including mailed-in early votes, and those have all just been released all at once. There'll be a short lag, and then we'll find out more about what today's vote adds to it. But again, for math purposes, we know that there are over 2 million votes cast, and based on the first 819,000 of them, this is what it looks like. Zoran Mamdani.
Now, this is the highest non-presidential year voting, especially early voting. Well, since early voting has started in New York City history, let me rephrase that. This is the highest voting non-presidential election in New York City history. That's pretty amazing. And I know that a lot of people were saying, you know, there's a Muslim gentleman running as mayor. He's a Democrat running as mayor. You know, 2 scary things that they're out there, Democratic Socialists. But he beat Cuomo in the primary, came back and beat Cuomo again, as we see, coming in as independent. And Republicans didn't have a chance. But Big Trump said, listen, he's not sending no more federal money to New York City. So to me, it's more of a fact of chat. Okay, cool. He's not sending any more money. More taxes are going to be there, or people are going to start leaving New York City and flooding to states like Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. You know, it doesn't have to be Florida. I think we're full.
Texas.
But we'll see. Texas? Hold on. I think
I have a question.
Hold on. You say Texas?
I said Texas, but I have a question when you get a chance.
Go ahead, talk to me.
Let's have a quick conversation. let's talk about how a lot of America's treasures, travel treasures, I'm going to call them, have now kind of lost its shine. I.e., your New York. Nothing wrong with New York at all, but you know, all you hear people complain about how expensive it is.
Always.
And you know, and how they always complain about the space. Your LAs, who now they're complaining about the homelessness and the crime. You know, and now, I mean, they've been complaining about it, but now it's like I hear it all the time now, right? And then lastly, your Las Vegas. And now you're seeing all these reports about a lot of people aren't going to Vegas and a lot of people aren't traveling to America like they used to, et cetera, like that. So I was, you know, I say all that to say is, you know, that just made me think about that, you know, to your point about you saying that, that they're going to try to suspend federal dollars going to New York. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, they're spending federal dollars going to New York. You still got a lot of citizens in New York. New York is still heavily populated, right? So of course people are still going to be hit. But my more question is, how will the lack of federal spending affect the tourist portion of New York?
I don't think it'll affect tourism as much because people still want to come to New York. You know, they want to experience the city for what it is. But I do think it'll change the quality of life of people living there, because Mamdani's not the first person to say the rent was high. You know, the buddy black guy before Eric Adams was running, saying the rent was too damn high, and he went viral on it when we didn't even know what viral really meant, right? Thanks. So I think New York has always been a place where it's going to be super high cost of living. It's not going to change tourism, but maybe a fact of the scare tactics will have people to a point of saying, okay, can you afford to live here anymore? But I think the other part of it is the nostalgia of New York, Vegas is kind of played out with social media, right? Because now it's gotten to a point of our R&B legends from the 90s doing staycations and shows like Usher and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, okay, cool. Vegas doesn't have the hype it had in the 80s and the 70s and 60s or whatever, because the mafia is not running as much. People see Dubai versus Vegas. Oh, they want to go Dubai. You feel me? So, and I know you missed Dubai. So, but at the end of the day, it gets to a fact of, it's not the fact of like these things are played out. It's just, it's a new generation. And I think that kind of plays into it as well, where people kind of change their habits and say, you know what? I'd rather go to Europe for the summer instead of going on a trip to Vegas and New Orleans and Houston, because it's like, it's the same old thing you've already seen. And it's just, once you've seen some of these staples, you don't want to go back.
I didn't see them once. Like I just went and I hit all. I haven't never been to LA. I've never been to LA, but New York definitely smacked New York in the face. Smacked Dubai twice, and definitely went to Vegas. Yeah. Do I want to go back to Vegas? Sure, but do I have to keep going back? Not at all. Do I want to come back to New York? I love New York actually, but
yeah, New York's right.
Yeah, New York probably, yeah, because I think New York is more nostalgic for me than anything. Yeah, so yeah, but I can understand exactly what you mean about people not, you know, hey, already seen it, don't really care to go back.
Yeah, don't really
but
care to
again,
go
like
back.
I said, it lost its shine. I don't think it's as, you know what I'm saying, now like they're debating about that casino down over there in Times Square. You know, I know you've been to Times Square because you know you missed the Broadway.
Oh, here we go.
You know what I'm saying? So you feel me? So you know how that is. But I mean, after you see your Broadway and after you see your Times Square, see the big jumbotron, see the different people that's going to charge you $20 to take a picture and then you costume. I mean, what else we got?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Let's get back to what's happening live in New York. Appreciate y'all tapping in for the stream tonight. If it's your first time here, I am the hip hop lobbyist. This is the channel. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Over 300 of y'all, I believe, watching currently. Oh, 200 right now. It's okay. We've been fluctuating. But over 47,000 people have tapped in today, and I really do appreciate it tonight for some of this. But let's get back to some of this early voting lead. I hear my son crying upstairs. So if anything, I'm going to keep the stream running. We'll keep this going. And if I have to go put them to sleep, come back down, we'll do it. But let's tap in and get back to what's happening in New York City.
Can I quickly report
Go ahead, brother.
that the city of Atlanta has a mayor named Andre Dickens once again.
It's there.
They have officially posted.
Yeah, you can't run against somebody that's overly popular. People just want to throw their name in the hat, but they don't know how to run no election.
And he's a good mayor. I'm here on ground zero watching it. He's making it do what it do. Like he's gonna go down as one of the better mayors of Atlanta. Like crime alone has went down. Nothing against prior administrations. I love them all. I've worked. I'm a former city of Atlanta employee. That's what my pension is. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that the crime rate was ridiculous, like crazy. And soon as Andre got in, he mobilized, did what he had to do. The crime rate, I'm talking about cars getting broken into. My sister's car got broken into in Atlanta. Like, everybody, all you heard with those stories, and Mayor Dickens got in office and he did what he had to do. And plus he brought a lot of good things to Atlanta. There's no reason for nobody to vote him. Like he is doing what he's supposed to do. Then of course you got former mayor Lance Bottoms running for governor.
Who?
Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Let me not get started. We have Hassan Piker showing up at the Mamdani, looks like celebration. Let's see what Hassan Piker has to say. Now, if he's a famous streamer, political talker. I believe he's anti-Israel, anti a lot of fascism and all the rest of the stuff, but that's Hassan. But let's see what Hassan Piker has to say.
It's impossible not to feel a sense of hope for a better tomorrow for the first time in a long time, especially with the way things are going with the Trump administration. I do hope that New Yorkers do the right thing and they voted for Zoran Mamdani for an affordability campaign, for a New York that people can't afford to live in.
Well, Mamdani said his piece.
Just keep in mind, Hassan Piker, he's a social media online influencer. He has a channel with a large following, and this kind of has to do with the way that the Mamdani campaign has been reaching out to those on social media and trying to expand their base, not just in New York City, but then also the attraction to outside of the 5 boroughs. It's interesting to see how people in Los Angeles or even across in Europe are engaging with Mamdani's messaging as well as the campaign. Errol?
Yeah, Bernadette, that's been a phenomenon. I know some of you have mentioned from out in the field that there's a lot of international press that are showing up to a local election, which is a little unusual even for New York. What are you seeing there?
Right. Well, I mean, over the past couple of weeks, Mamdani's been taking questions from those from Germany, from London, from France. And of course, as a local reporter, I'm always thinking to myself,
Canada saying they support
he's running
Mamdani.
for
That's
New York
what's up.
City mayor. He should be answering New York City questions. But take that with a grain of salt. What these reporters are trying to find out is if what's happening in the U.S. will have any influence over other big cities across the world, and especially other big cities like London, for example, or Paris, where, democratic socialism is more of a norm, as opposed to here in New York, where it's the center of capitalism. So, the questions often have to do with affordability, how he would achieve that, and if he thinks that message is something that's transferable on a broader scale, Errol.
Okay, thanks very much, Bernadette. We'll be checking in with you later. Let's check in now with our Dan Rivoli. He's standing by at the campaign party for Curtis Sliwa on the Upper West Side. Good evening, Dan.
Hey, good evening, Errol. So the polls closed, the votes are coming in. Sliwa, so far in a distant third. That has not dampened the mood too much here. I think a lot of the Sliwa supporters are genuinely proud of the campaign he ran, hitting the streets, the subways, the buses, and talking to voters, and running a vigorous campaign and defying the odds from billionaires, conservative influencers, even President Trump trying to get him out of the race, and even that last-minute endorsement to Cuomo and saying that a vote for Curtis Sliwa was a vote for Zoran Mamdani. He persevered through it all, and I think there's a lot of pride from Sliwa supporters on that. Of course, one of the big stories of the Sliwa campaign was whether he was able to retain Republican support. There are a few Republican officials who ended up backing Cuomo, a few stuck with Sliwa, and even tonight, the campaign told me they were expecting a GOP.
You know what you gotta hate right now? Is I'm watching the Cuomo thing live, right? So imagine you're sitting at Cuomo's watch party and you're watching the news. The same news is broadcast through the whole city. And you're like, damn, we losing. And they criticizing you for the shit. And you gotta hear that. You gotta hear it from your people and be like, damn, if I just get 10 more precincts to show up different, it's not gonna happen. It doesn't really work that way. One thing I'm gonna switch over to, because you know it's gonna be a long night with Mamdani in the news. But there's ABC special report, whatever, 5 minutes ago that dropped regarding Mamdani's win is a gift for Republicans from a GOP strategist. Let's see what he has to say about it. I don't see it as a gift, but it's early vibes.
As Matt Gorman, Communications Director for the National Republican Congressional Committee. So give us a sense, Matt, of what you're making so far early with Virginia. We do know that the Democrats have been able to take that with the governor. But going forward, does that signal concern?
It's really, the story is no surprises as of yet. We know that Spanberger is going to have kind of a long kind of runway. I'm curious to see if her coattails can pull Jay Jones over the line. That really was the only mystery to me going into tonight. I'm also watching very closely New Jersey. As Rick pointed out, that was such a swing towards Trump. If Chitterelli can keep it to around the Kamala Harris margin, 5 to 7 points, that I think I would expect Republicans to start investing there in preparation of maybe 2028. But again, only if that margin is that 5 to 7 points. But other than that, seems like everything was going as expected so far.
Are you concerned at all that a number of Democrats have been able to seemingly campaign primarily as a referendum on President Trump?
Not necessarily in these states. I think, as John pointed out at the start of the coverage, these are away games. I mean, look, it's no surprise that in these sort of blue states, these would resonate. Also, both of these states have among the highest population of college-educated voters. And in the Trump era, that is becoming increasingly the Democratic base. Now, again, what I'm watching are those Latino voters like in Passaic County. I know for a fact where I live in Northern Virginia, liberal turnout, Democratic turnout was off the charts. But can we do a little bit better kind of in the Hampton Roads area? I'm very curious to see about that. I think that would have the key for the Jay Jones-Miyares race for Attorney General there.
You mentioned Jay Jones. Anything else that you're watching in particular tonight?
The last thing I'm watching is Ken Mamdani in New York. Once the polls close there at 9 p.m. Eastern, can he get to a majority? I'd be very curious there. If he can, maybe he can claim a mandate to the city council and Governor Hochul up in Albany to enact some more of his agenda.
Any idea why President Trump took such an interest in the mayoral race here in New York City?
I think certainly it's his hometown. Certainly no surprise there. But also, look, I think he likes a foil. Him endorsing Cuomo, I think, said less about Cuomo, but also elevating Mamdani. It is a gift to our party to have someone like Mamdani as mayor of New York and also the media capital of the world. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Mamdani over the next year or so in Republican commercials and TV ads as we go into the...
Democrats about to go crazy. They about to have a hard-on for Mamdani from now until damn 2028, right? And you know it's going to be a fight. Now you have AOC and Mamdani coming from New York, Jasmine Crockett running for Senate in Texas, and a whole lot of other shit happening with Prop 50 in California. Listen, listen. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. It's going to be a long ride to the midterms and the 2028 election. And you know what, if you know, it's gonna get to a point of being like, you know what, somebody's gonna hop in the chat, election night, 2026 and 2028. Hey Phil, I was here when you only had 8,000, 9,000 subscribers. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're right. Let me call out a name in the chat. I'm gonna be like, hey, yeah, 5 Mentone, you right. Alex F, you right. You was here in the beginning when we had 400 people random on one night. On an election night. So make sure y'all like and subscribe. Now, if you didn't know, I'm actually a professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. I do campaigns as well. And I actually was hired by a couple campaigns in New York and Georgia. And we had a successful night. We're waiting on Mamdani to make it all happen. Do you watch, engage with folks like FT Signifier or Consciously? I got to look them up. I'm going to copy that. You know, to be fair, I don't really watch a lot of other streamers or the content creators. Candace Owens, I think, is like the top dog based on views, content, you know, reach. But I don't really watch a lot of others. Because my biggest thing is I work in the political space, and I would rather, you know, get to a point of actually talking to people about, you know, actual policy and moving stuff instead of just a narrative. But I'm actually in Florida. I live in Jacksonville. But Finzel, quick update before we get back to this for the people if they're first time here seeing my dog.
What we got? What we got? Talk to me.
No, just saying, say what's up to the people. Just let the people know where they could find you on your Instagram handles and all that good jazz.
What up, great people? Again, man, Feezy the Great here, man. Just here at election night, watching the magic happen. You can find me on Instagram, Feezy, FEEZYDAGR 8. Yeah, we out here. Shout out to Mayor Andre Dickens' re-election. We out here.
Hey, there it is. So let's get back to some of this.
The midterm elections. So elevating him, providing a foil for both Trump, but candidly also Mamdani in Trump benefits both of them.
All right, Matt Gorman, thank you so much for your time and insight. Really appreciate it. I want to stay there with Mamdani, with the race for mayor of New York City. Many people have suggested, even when I had a chance to talk with Curtis Sliwa, he said that he had been offered $10 million to get out of the race, yet he stayed. A number of people were concerned that he would split the vote and potentially cause Mamdani to win, which is what Donald Trump has said, which is what Andrew Cuomo has said. Is there any there?
I mean, I think there really is. And I think that Matt put something that we should all be watching. Does Mamdani get to over 50% of the vote? If he's below 50% of the vote, you know, first of all, it will be harder for him to claim the mandate. He needs not just to bring the city council along, he needs the governor, he needs the state legislature, because, you know, New York City depends a lot on what happens in Albany. So that's a big factor. And then the other thing, just in terms of Mamdani as this national figure and this leader for the Democratic Party, you have to think 50% is one marker. Does he get to more than 50%? The other marker, which he's clearly not going to get to, is 68%. 68% is the percentage of votes that Kamala Harris got in New York last year in a campaign where she lost decisively in the presidential election. So, you know, you'll hear a lot from moderate Democrats, establishment Democrats, to push back a little bit on the idea that the party is now Mamdani's party, that that's the direction they have to go. They'll say, wait a minute, this guy ran in New York City, he won, great campaign, but he didn't even do anywhere near as well as Kamala Harris did. He didn't even do as well as Eric Adams did when he won in 2021. He got, I think it was 66% of the vote. Now, obviously, it's a three-person race. It's harder to get to that level. But I think that the overall turnout in the city will be a big measure, and the margin of victory, if he wins, for Mamdani.
And to that point, I mean, it would be a huge win for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, obviously, but depending on how big that margin is, there are lots of questions about how it translates from New York City to, say, you know, suburban areas of other political battlegrounds when you look ahead to the midterms, right? Just how far can you take any lessons that are learned here? And yes, so much of that depends on the margin. And to John's point, if Mamdani wins, in order to get his agenda passed, a lot of it does rely on raising taxes in order to pay for things like, you know, free childcare and other things like that. You're going to need to have Albany on board and a governor on board in order to do that.
And we've heard Donald Trump threaten that if Mamdani wins, he would pull federal funding to the tune of about $7 billion from New York City.
Yeah, and he has made very clear that if Mamdani wins, he is going to cut off a lot of the cash, the federal cash flow to the city.
I want to know what he would do in Virginia if Jay Jones wins, Attorney General. I mean, we had 700,000 votes. He got more. He's up 100,000 votes still. 51 to 48%. And if you didn't, let me pull these text messages back in. I don't think people earlier saw the text messages on the stream. And this is Jay Jones, a Democrat. running. Let me make this. Make it good for people on the vertical so they can read it. These are the leaked text messages from the Attorney General candidate. They say nice things about everyone. If those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on that race. Send them out awash in something. J. Jones, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. I don't understand what people's mindset is to tweet things like this, right? Not tweet, text, as if a text message screenshot isn't deadly enough. But still, regardless, after the text message leak, combined, a lot of voters still supporting this guy. So even though Mamdani could win, it's still going to be a narrative painted about crazy Democrats. Because honestly, in this situation, I'd rather the Republican win. Hold on, I can't hear you, bro.
I think it's sad. No, I was just gonna say I just think it's sad that we got to still have these conversations in 2025.
What you mean, screenshots?
No, I'm just saying just in general about the elections, about how everyone's going to react to if he gets elected in.
Yeah, so we could have the Mamdani win, which will take the headlines, but this is unsettling. Excuse me. Didn't mean to burp me out you like that. Yeah, face like that. But yeah, it's kind of unsettling to me that so many people would still pick party over what's proper. But what are you gonna do, right? Election night in America. Let's see what we got an update here in New York.
The mayor-elect and his supporters' worst enemies.
Cuomo eating to that lead, bro.
We, the people, will always be united. We, the people, will always be united. That has been our quest from day one. Some of the most powerful people in the world mobilized to silence us and to tell people, don't vote for Curtis Sliwa. Don't vote for you, the people. Vote for Andrew Cuomo. They tried to bribe me out of this race. The best thing I have in this entire world is my lovely wife, Nancy.
There you go.
And so many other New Yorkers who dedicated her life to rescuing animals in distress. And yet, some of the most powerful people in the world made fun of Nancy and me for what we do. To care for animals, to care for people, that's the humanitarian thing to do. That's not political. That's what people should be doing for other people. Right on! So the most powerful people in the world turned others against us.
Trump.
In this time where we could have saved the city,
You talking about Big Trump?
continue our mission. That's right. That's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Texas or Tennessee, we stay, we fight for what we know is right. This movement continues on.
No, it won't, bro. You came in 3rd place. Nobody remembers who was the bronze medalist when Usain Bolt was winning them Olympic titles, bro.
Tyson Gay?
Well, shit, he was American. Of course, you would know that. Fuck him.
Hold on, let me see if I'm right. Hold on.
I'm trying to say, bro, came in 3rd place. Anybody can remember? If a dog actually remember who came in 3rd place. So Curtis Sliwa, well, you probably took some peds. You'll be back. But yeah, typically, the 3rd place person is unknown in the future, but here is something different.
And that socialism does not replace capitalism. Law and order must be imposed to keep our cities safe and secure. We want everybody to know if you're young or old, you can stay in New York, you can prosper, you can live the American dream. I swear to all of you, on behalf of my wife Nancy, myself, and everybody who made this effort possible, we will continue on.
Yeah! Curtis Sliwa!
We will prevail in honor of our parents and grandparents. The tradition of America grow and prevail and prosper, and it will be we the people who will be successful.
There's your middle, hey,
My campaign team, it has been magnificent.
Curtis Sliwa.
I'm about to say, bro, they better switch over before I switch out.
He seems to be polling far behind where he was even just 4 years ago. So far, with about half of the vote in, he seems to have about 100,000 votes or so. By comparison, 4 years ago, he ended up with over 300,000. So a very tough night for Curtis Sliwa. Let's go over to our Bobby Kuza at the big board for some analysis of where things stand in the race for mayor. Bobby.
And Errol, did I hear Curtis Sliwa make reference to the mayor-elect? I think he might have been calling the race before the rest of us were ready to, because Zoran Mamdani is in the lead. We have seen that lead shrink a little bit since the last time we showed these results. It's now an 8-point lead over Andrew Cuomo, and he has dipped a little bit below that 50% mark. So Mamdani in the lead. I don't know, do we call this a comfortable lead? Certainly has to be feeling good about his position right now, considering the fact that he is hovering so close to the 50%.
They got to be mad at Sliwa, Curtis, whatever his name is, because if he's out the race head up, I think Cuomo's up right now. Or am I tripping? Nah, he's up. Nah, he'll still be down. He'll still be down 100. It'll be a closer race, but he'll still be down maybe a couple hundred votes. Maybe up a couple hundred. You never know.
Mark, but like you guys talked about earlier, I think the surprise to me, anyways, so far is Curtis Sliwa. I mean, I was looking back through some of the recent polling, and Curtis Sliwa was always polling in third place, but he was always at least getting into the double digits. So for the fact for him to be down at 8%, I think is maybe an indication that Andrew Cuomo was able to eat into his base of support with his appeal these last couple of weeks to the Republican Party. He's been on Fox News. He got the endorsement from Donald Trump, if we want to call it that, yesterday. So it seems like Cuomo may have taken away some of those Sliwa votes by making this case that a vote for Sliwa was a vote for Mamdani. And then, you know, as to this idea that Sliwa is a spoiler in this race, you take a look at, just look at the percentage numbers. If you add together Cuomo's percentage total.
To answer your question, it's Justin Gatlin and Walter Dix.
Walter who?
You remember Walter Dix?
Oh, yeah, from Florida State. Damn.
You remember Justin Gatlin?
Damn. They the Curtis Sliwas. I can't pronounce this dude's last name. Sliwa. That's crazy.
And Sliwa's percentage total, you get 49.5. Mamdani's at 49.6. So that would
Sliwa. How is I pronounced like an E? Because it's like I was giving me Sliwa, but Sliwa must be. Where do you think he's from? Ireland. I don't know where that last name could come from.
How you spell it?
Put them on.
Say it again.
Give me the spelling.
Sliwa.
Sliwa?
Yeah, Sliwa.
Let's find out.
Almost even. Not to suggest that every Sliwa voter would have necessarily gone to Andrew Cuomo, but that just goes to show the dynamics at play here with a three-person race. So Mamdani is ahead. We can give you a breakdown by borough. Brooklyn is where Mamdani is really routing Andrew Cuomo. He's running away with it here in the city's largest borough. He's got a 23-point lead over Andrew Cuomo with 58.4% of the vote.
Poland or Eastern Europe?
Eastern Europe, it makes sense.
Who you said Ireland, right?
Yeah. 60% in. That's a nice gap in Brooklyn, boy.
Yeah, it is.
Mamdani also leads in Queens, although it's a little bit closer. Also ahead in Manhattan by about 9 points. And then this was a surprise to me in the Bronx. The Bronx is actually where Andrew Cuomo did the best in the primary. He had an overwhelming lead in the Bronx on primary night. He was up by 18 points, had 52% of the vote. Now Mamdani is winning the Bronx with 51% of the vote. So we've seen a shift there. Maybe an indication that Mamdani was able to win over some Black and Hispanic voters with his outreach over these past several months since the primary in June. And then you go to
he's not
Staten
Irish,
Island,
he's
which,
Jewish?
of course,
Okay, thank y'all.
You would think it's Curtis Sliwa
I never heard that Jewish last name before.
Staten
Appreciate
Island,
y'all.
Andrew Cuomo with 55% of the vote on Staten Island,
Thank you
while Sliwa
for the
is
knowledge.
running neck and neck with Mamdani.
Say it again.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's learn something new every day, bro. I've never, it's not a cone, you know, typical other Jewish names that I've seen.
In this Republican-leaning borough.
Cohen.
So gives you a sense for how voters turned out across
Appreciate
the
that
city. But for now,
clarification, John.
overall, Mamdani with an 8-point lead. We're now over a million votes, so probably more than halfway to the total as the results continue to come in. I think we'll have a much fuller picture
Sliwa.
of the results probably by the end of the hour and get a lot closer to that 100% mark.
All right. Thanks very much, Bobby. And
I'm going to stop it here, bruh. I can't honestly believe this.
Talk to me.
Jay Jones, who's had the very controversial text messages threatening to kill people's kids, is a new attorney general in Virginia. Again, I think that Republicans are going to use this. They're going to let Mamdani have the headwinds, but this is going to be one of the ones they're going to peel back a lot at, because those text messages are like grabbing by the pussy dangerous. But it's kind of crazy. 50,000 plus votes at that 3% is, that's tough. It's going to be interesting to see how Democrats respond to that.
It's going to be very interesting to see.
Very interesting. Excuse me. I mean, burping your face again.
And we do have a race to call. This is the one you were waiting for. The Associated Press has called the race for mayor of New York City for Zoran Mamdani. This was something that we thought might take a little bit longer, but it's about 9:36, and the numbers are in.
Quite expeditiously, isn't it?
The analysis, I guess.
Say that again.
Everything's happening quite expeditiously.
Oh yeah, once you get that 60-70%, if it's a good gap, ain't no way those voting trends don't change like that.
We can do right now. I've got Courtney Gross here with me and Ayanna Harry as well. And I guess what Bobby just showed us on the board sort of tells the story, right? If he won in 4 of the 5 boroughs, that's the ball game.
Yeah, we still have hundreds of thousands of votes still to be counted, but if the trends continue this way, then it would be clear that Zoran Mamdani will be the next mayor, the 111th mayor of New York City. He will be the youngest mayor in more than a century. We haven't seen a mayor this young since the boroughs were not even consolidated in 1898.
Yeah, and this
What's that, bro?
How's the weather?
The weather in Jacksonville? It's good. I can't complain. How's the weather in A?
Trash.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. You can have that cold shit.
Niggas 50. Hey Siri, what's the temperature? What's the temperature?
At the Zoran Mamdani.
What's the temperature in Covington, Georgia? Hey Siri, what's the temperature in Covington, Georgia? $51 degrees, my brother.
Who?
51.
Oh, that ain't that bad. I thought you were gonna say something worse.
It's gonna get worse next week.
Don't say something worse than that.
Early.
So what?
So this is the early vibe.
Yeah, it is. It's not even super cold yet. We're going to the ground on the Zoran Mamdani
Rally at Paramount
election night
Theater in
rally.
New York, and I'm sorry if I'm screaming. It's so loud here. I forget I have a microphone. And I'm being told that Zohran will be speaking, addressing the crowd shortly. The feeling in this room, obviously we're with his biggest supporters, his base, and lots of media, but it is electric. It's a pep rally. It's celebration. But a lot of people we've been speaking to as well who've been involved in his campaign are saying they will celebrate tonight, and then tomorrow they continue to go to work because he's going to be facing, not to be a Debbie Downer, but it's just the reality of the situation, he's going to be facing a ruling class in this country that is so entrenched in the politics of New York City, in the politics nationally, that are going to try to make sure he cannot follow through on any of his promises because they are direct material threats to their control over this country and its finances and its resources and its future. And Zoran Mamdani is going to need the people in the movement that helped get him elected, as he said today, to continue to show up, to hold him accountable, and to continue to struggle for all of the policies he wants to enact. But in order to do it, he's going to need them to keep pushing. I'm sure people in this room understand that they're saying they do, but tonight...
Look, I'm very excited, but we have to do those two things at the same time. We have to celebrate, be excited, and not let our guard down. Because this is a time where it's very tempting to celebrate, and we're going to want to defend him from the haters, and we're going to have to do that. But
who do we have here?
I'm gonna stay on stream, but I'm gonna slide to the gym. But I'm gonna be there for like 30 minutes. Are you still gonna stay until 12?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on.
All right. I'm finna. How about slide to the gym real quick so I can get back?
I got you. Up, y'all. Hold on.
So I was visiting my friends. No, I'm joking. So I had something here, but you know, I saw all the New Yorkers just so happy that they're finally seeing a politician who's not being paid by APEC, and a lot of disheartened people who are finally getting into the politics because they're realizing what's happening inside the U.S. affects the rest of the world, and then ultimately gets back to their homes.
Well, so I think I love that you're here right now because I was saying how this is not just being watched in New York, not just being watched in New York. Internationally, your family's from Egypt, you're in Egypt, you're in Dubai, you're across the region, you were just in Beirut. Why is this important to you as somebody who's often outside of the U.S.?
It's so interesting. You know, the U.S. could have utilized how Mamdani has made this so international. He's made this so global by being so one of a kind that they could have used this to actually help their economy through tourism. But instead, what we as an international audience are watching is we're watching very racist, very Islamophobic tweets against this guy. So what I would say to the thought leaders and the politicians of the U.S. who keep preaching democracy to us is we're watching how you're treating this guy. For example, Trump, who ought to be putting America first, is willing to defund New York because a guy he doesn't like would win. That doesn't seem very America first to me, that he's willing to get Americans to suffer. It's scary, and we're watching that as an international audience.
Yeah, it's super crazy, but it's also like we're also watching somebody who won an election at this level calling out genocide.
Yes, and the fact that he is so outspoken, and the thing is, this is, I think, what Americans are starting to realize. The Palestinian cause affects them back home. The surveillance that's being used on Palestinians is being used on American citizens. The money that could be better used for homes here, the taxpayer money that instead is being poured into an occupation that is not helping the U.S. We've seen how many times the U.S. has interfered, and it hasn't been a good look for them, and it hasn't been an economically smart move. I mean, we saw the embarrassing withdrawal of Afghanistan that almost cost Biden his presidency, and you would think Trump would learn from that, but instead they're just continuing for no reason, because Israel is not a good look for you PR-wise. It's not making progress in the region, and if you dare think it's the only democracy in the Middle East, which was a tale as old as time rumor, it's ridiculous. Anyway, Hassan is here.
Hassan, it was so good to see you.
Yeah,
Hey, what's up? Good to see you.
I've been trying to... Wait, they're live.
Yeah, we're live. We're live right now. You're so tall. Shit. Can you fit under this or over this? Can you like climb through? I don't think you can. All right, guys, we got. Hey.
Queen's about president.
Oh wait, 1 second. Let me talk. Let me. We'll just guys. Hassan Piker, we've got you on Breakthrough News again. You've been a famous fixture in this election campaign. How many new followers have you gotten because of Andrew Cuomo?
I don't know, but all the grandparents that are furiously Googling Hassan Piker 9/11, I hope you saw all my meat pics. I posted it for you, Grandma.
What?
All the grandmas out there.
What?
Grandma's for Hassan Piker, guys. You heard it here. So you've been covering this campaign relentlessly. You've been mentioning it. You've interviewed Zohran. You've been in and out of New York during rallies. He just won. What are your thoughts?
I feel ecstatic. I feel electric. I feel like I was banking way too much on this campaign because I was holding on to it for dear life. I was like, please, something good. I'm not a praying man. I'm Muslim, but I'm not exactly a very good Muslim in general.
Okay.
And I was literally praying. I was like, this morning I woke up, I was like, please, something, please, just a crumb of a hope. Fuck.
I guess.
Well, listen, also, one thing I love about you is you're funny and you're really great at streaming, but you're also smart as hell.
Oh,
and
thank you.
And one thing, I know you're going to understand this. I think that a lot of people on the left are sitting here, they're excited, they want to be excited, but they've been hurt by people who've run inside the party like this in the past. So I think that this is a moment to reflect on when the day after comes, what should people be doing once Zohran's elected to make sure his policies actually have a fighting chance? Because they can't just go home.
I mean, look, I will use my platform to speak truth to power and to ensure that whatever agenda he has, that is, as long as it's placing the working class first, I will be by his side. I will make sure that I will mobilize to ensure that we get it done. And that same promise goes for every single Democrat. If you place, it doesn't matter where your background is, if you have a working class first politics and you are willing to put yourself out there to fight for the working class all around the world, I will be there by your side. I will door knock for you. I will make sure that I mobilize for you.
That's not a piece of policy or actual piece of legislation. That's bullshit. And that's where a lot of the streamers and content creators who don't work in politics will throw out these jabs of bullshit to say, yeah, for the working class. What does that actually mean? When you're looking at a bill or a piece of legislation, it doesn't say working class in statute, right? The economic provisions, what's the fiscal cost of things, or what are the actual pieces of policy you want to have, from the environment to healthcare to education? I think collectively, the working class and these gadget words that the influencers like to use are just good to sensationalize the progressives that have no fucking plan, right? Because Hassan Piker and the rest will be the same people that'll have a rally, a live stream, and then chastise you on book smarts on policy, but they won't have a strategy to pass anything. And that's another reason. You can have this rally and be happy that the man won. Yes, it's great. But then you also realize it's only the beginning of the process. You can't just mobilize and say, yeah, we're going to go help any Democrat for the working class. What does that mean? There's a whole government shutdown. People are losing their jobs to AI. They're restructuring the entire voting process and the entire electoral process here. Do you think that they're not going to come back with a vengeance and be like, you know what, hey, let's get rid of that filibuster? We got everything lined up at the Supreme Court. What's next? So you can mobilize all day, but there's no strategy to that mobilization. And that's why progressives end up being behind. So this election is great, but the actual policy, you're asking someone now who's a streamer, what's next? And what's next doesn't sound like anything fluid that's actually substantial or tangible in politics. Just my 2 cents.
And we will get this done. We will get your agenda done.
Ow.
What do you think it means that this guy ran as a socialist and anti-communism didn't work to stop him? That's big.
Yeah, I think we are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. And the reality of the matter is there's a lot of antagonism. There's no class consciousness in the United States of America. It's one of the things that I try to address every day with my commentary. And I will say this, the conditions have deteriorated so much that everyday Americans, in spite of their lack of class consciousness, are finally arriving at the conclusion that perhaps there is an alternative out there. There is an alternative that focuses on them as opposed to the interests of the billionaires and the millionaires, as opposed to the interests of the capital owners. And
you mean to tell me this guy's one of the biggest YouTubers in the world? So he would have to be, or streamers in the world. Let's assume he's a millionaire, not a billionaire. So now all of a sudden you're attacking the people that are you. But my thing is, just, understanding politics. I understand how foundational Americans move in the political world. These millionaires and billionaires he's attacking, his own people. What is he doing to counteract what they're doing? Like, I'm not saying spend the most money, but where are you investing your political resources to deliver the result that you're campaigning about? Because it can't just be the candidate. There has to be PACs, political action committees, expenditure committees, or even our IEs, C4s, different avenues that you can spend capital on to influence legislation or elect members. So what are you doing to combat it? Because it's one thing to just throw stones at the millionaires and billionaires who are, quote unquote, trying to make their businesses more productive and efficient. But then the other part of it is, realistically, what's the plan when you're fighting with even kill? If you're getting everything out there, it's like, okay, cool. What are you doing to educate people or actually move some kind of foundation or like a Charlie Kirk movement or whatever to engage people? Like, that's the issue again. There's no strategy to this. All the progressives and Democrats will be so happy from this that they'll take it into the headwinds and they'll be ready for 2026 and hope that everything plays out this way next year. We'll see.
I mean, you can't help but notice that. You can't help but feel at least a little bit of excitement around that.
And then also the significance that he ran on a platform of opposing Israeli genocide.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, fuck Israel every day. It's fuck Israel o'clock, and you don't get punished for saying fuck Israel anymore. That's all I'm saying. Look, I was number 2. I lost to Candace Owens, who is kind of whatever when it comes to Jewish people. But, like, I'm not anti-Semitic. And yet, Jonathan Greenblatt, that bald fuck, spent every fucking waking moment yelling about me instead of Nick Fuentes, bitch. What happened? All the Republicans you defended are now turning around and being like, maybe we should be anti-Semitic. What happened, Jonathan? That's all I'm going to say. But also, more importantly than that, being honest about the unlimited violence that Israel has subjected Palestinian people to, Israel has subjected Lebanese people to, this is Syrian people to, like, this is the people in Yemen, like, this is important to be able to address truthfully. And I think that's the reason why you have so many people that lost their fucking mind. Shouts out to Deborah Messing. Hey, Deborah, take your lithium, Deborah. You posting like 120 fucking Instagram stories. What now, Deborah Messing?
What about Michael Rappaport?
Oh, my God. I want to see him so bad.
I hope he's here tonight.
See what he's up to.
I want to ask you one more thing, and then I think Katie wants to steal you. Hassan, and all, like, to be like, not to be a Debbie Downer, however, what about the issue with the NYPD and keeping Jessica Tisch on as commissioner? She's from a billionaire family who's very hostile to this guy. What are we going to do about that?
I'm definitely worried about that. I'm definitely worried about that, and we will hold Zoran to account as well. If Jessica Tisch doesn't at least promise to deliver on whatever agenda Zoran has, I don't know if it was just a mechanism of, like, winning the election, if he was trying to just do that, or if he genuinely has confidence in Jessica Tisch. I don't, personally. I think she is a dynastic name in New York. I mean, her family name is on the side of NYU, you know what I mean? It's very difficult to trust people like that, especially if you are trying to do right by the working class. But we'll see. Maybe she's a class traitor. Maybe Jessica Tisch is actually a class traitor who is going to bring about the revolutionary core within the NYPD, and they're going to actually defend working class New Yorkers against the federal encroachment that is going to take place inevitably.
Well, there's that, and there's also, it makes me think about, like, if you take over a country, you got to get the armed forces on your side.
I agree.
But you got to put loyalists in place. She's not a loyalist. So I don't know what that's about. We'll have to wait and see. But lastly, Trump is coming for this city. What do they do? What do we do? I mean, how does this work out? Trump is going to try to coup this city.
This city is robust. This city is massive. This is the heart of capitalism in many ways. He can try, but I do think that at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the people versus these corrupt, authoritarian monsters who try to enact the agenda of billionaires and millionaires. And I don't think he has the popular mandate at all. So I don't think he'll be able to successfully make any sort of change and even hurt the New Yorkers. I think it's important that we have someone who will be leading that charge and will be a fighter for everyday New Yorkers.
Also, Hassan, do you know I work out as much as you do?
That's not surprising. You're in great shape.
Thank you. I know, but I don't get credit for this. I want you.
I'm not hearing the rest of that bullshit. Again, the biggest thing that I see is that the working class and a living wage are the talking points progressives loves to use that don't really have a narrative of actual action behind it. Because you can ask these people what a living wage will be, they wouldn't be able to tell you. They'll just say, people need, a working class, and it's just a fumbling of the thesaurus and their talking points to say what they need to get off. But at the end of the day, it's like none of this shit is actually moving the needle. It's a fact of you feel good today, but by the end of this, you're really not pushing anything forward. It's just, this is the issue, and here's why, because you don't understand the political part of what happens after you vote. And all of that means that in the next 6 months, the same people that are cheering for Zoran Mamdani are going to find a way to turn against him. And I wouldn't even say 6 months. I'll give him 6 weeks.
And for Zohran, shout out to his mom and dad for raising such an incredible young man, and for him to have not just the confidence. I think it's more than that. It's like, and again, I haven't talked to him yet about this directly, but to run for office, any office, you got to really love humanity and believe that we could do better. And so for him to run for office, run for mayor of New York City, the audacity of hope, right? The audacity to do it. He did it, polling at 1% and grinding, hustling, outworking. And now we're here. And I'm just so happy for him, happy for his wife. Shout out to his team. They're incredible. And of course, shout out to mom and dad, because y'all raised an incredible young man.
I can feel the emotion in this room and your voice. Zohran defeated the forces that got you out of office.
Yeah.
That must feel a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm so, yes, and I'm so happy it happened in New York City, because, you could make it here, you could make it anywhere. And this is the greatest city in the world. It's diverse, it's young, it's progressive, it's working class. We see through the bullshit very quickly. And so the fact that, unfortunately, hateful, divisive, forces that came after me and were successful in Westchester County, mostly in 2024, could not be successful in New York City. That's a powerful thing, and I'm really proud of New York City for that, and really excited about what's next, because you're going to have the establishment. They're going to do their establishment thing, right? They're going to have their political class point of view and all that. This is about the people, yo. The people of New York City. People who believed in him, and people who believed in what his team believed in. Just a powerful, powerful, amazing thing.
Well, I got to ask you, when it comes to Tisch, when it comes to the fact that Jessica Tisch is a state NYPD commissioner, he got attacked a little bit on that issue, and we'll see how it plays out. But how do you think he's going to be able to? It's going to be difficult. You've been in this party before. The Democratic Party centrists are going to come down hard on him. In addition to Trump federally, what do people who support the policies of this campaign need to do to make sure that when he gets into office, the Jessica Tisches don't get to like obstruct these policies, because they're going to try.
Yeah, I mean, the same 70,000 plus organizing power that we've had during the primary and the general, we're going to need that again to help him govern. So we got to hold every single member of the city council accountable. We got to hold every single state legislator accountable. We got to hold NYPD accountable. We got to hold the governor's office accountable. That's what democracy is all about. What has been missing is the people in the checks and balances. It's been like establishment politicians working with corrupt corporations to benefit the corporations at the expense of the people. Now this is a moment where the people party tonight, have a good time, but then like, okay, regroup, what's next? How do we get universal child care across the finish line? How do we get fast and free busing across the finish line? How do we raise the minimum wage? How do we build world-class schools? That's the mission.
I got to ask you too, Jamal, you know that also who's saying what's next is the leaders of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, maybe I'm fantasizing a little bit, but what do you think they're sitting around panicking about right now? They must be trying to figure out, oh my God, what do we do next? How do we stop this?
What's really frustrating is I know that Democratic leadership right now, they're on the phone with special interests to figure out how to keep this contained in New York so it doesn't grow across the country. What's disappointing about that is we all claim to care about democracy, and we all claim to be defenders of the Constitution. And in order for democracy to work, you need everyone to be involved. And if everyone is not involved, then we're not serious about a healthy, thriving democracy. And so they shouldn't be on the phone with special interests. They should be on the phone with New York City DSA and Make the Road Action and Jewish Voices for Peace and the Working Families Party and all of the grassroots organizations that have been doing the damn work, UAW, so many others. That's what they should be doing.
What's up? What's going to happen with you next? Where are you going to do next?
Oh, I'm chilling, man. You know, I don't know. I'm just, you know, if anyone needs me, you know, I'll try to be there for them. That's about it.
It's so good to see you. Thank you so
well.
much. It's great. It's lovely to see you.
Congratulations. I'm glad you're here.
Hey, y'all, on a business call, it's election night, but I'm going to switch back over to the New York NYC News, NY1.
I will say,
wrap up this call,
obviously,
but make sure,
really guarded
hold on, mute the people.
Deference.
Make sure that y'all support our sponsor tonight, Mobile Billboards Miami, actually global billboards, right? The #1 premier LED billboard LED service in the world, right? Because guess what? We ran elections this year in New York, in Atlanta, and Miami, and we won them all. But guess what? Let me finish this business call, but make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Let me get back to it. Hold on, I realize I have a little issue. Hold on, Steve-O. I caught a little issue. Gotta fix this in the my sources at. I don't know why it does this, but there we go. Hold on.
Real big win is it's going to be much easier to build affordable housing in New York. And I can tell you, as one of the largest affordable housing owners in New York, we manage 100% affordable housing for seniors across New York City. It's exceptionally difficult to build affordable housing. It takes a lot of time, a lot of
appreciate
money,
the love from Utah, y'all.
And so we want to build more affordable housing for people across New York City. And I think it's a win for the mayor-elect because it's going to help his mandate of trying to make the city more affordable.
You know, Greg David, the business journalist, said earlier today on New York One, and I think he's right, that the singular thing that has happened with the passage of the City of Yes, and I guess now the passage of these ballot questions, is that the question of building up housing supply, affordable housing supply, is public policy, is central now, and it's a fight that you normally wouldn't necessarily get 100% agreement on even just a few years ago.
There is a caveat here, though, just so you know. We've lost a couple $2 million in funding this year due to federal funding cuts. A lot of the money that comes for the creation of affordable housing in New York City comes from the federal government and the state, and so we're going to need to make sure that that pipeline of cash keeps coming in. The way you build affordable housing in New York is you get some sort of subsidy to build the housing so that you can offer what we do, our tenants, for $400 a month in a building with the doorman, including utilities. You can't do that unless you're getting some sort of subsidy. So we need to be very mindful of that. We need to advocate both on the state and federal levels to make sure that that money is still coming, because I think that is one of the most important issues that we have today in New York. Is the lack of affordable housing for New Yorkers is pressing everybody, and this is welcome news, especially on the affordable housing front.
I
Appreciate the love from Dallas.
The history that's been made. I mean, what will happen now? My prediction would be, you clarify this for me, is I think we're going to see a lot more candidates who are South Asian, who are Muslim, who are going to say, look, this guy did it. I'll learn what I can, but clearly this is not a field that is closed to me. We should expect to see a lot more candidates in the future?
I think that's absolutely right. We saw Shahana Hanif and Shekhar Krishnan voted to the New York City Council as the first South Asian members in 2021. Obviously, Zoran has been serving in the Assembly since 2020, but having the mayor of New York City be a South Asian and Muslim sets a whole new historic precedent for what is possible for our communities and transforms our imagination. And in a way, also gives us a sense of responsibility. It invites us into a conversation about civic life and political engagement that we've been shut out from for many decades.
You know, it's interesting. I was speaking with someone from the BBC earlier about what happened with their mayor. They have their first Muslim mayor in London, and she's been there for a few years. After initially a wave of, kind of horrid, kind of anti-Islamic sentiment that conservatives were trying to use or exploit.
1 second. The issue. Hold on, I got too much in my background. It's just a bit too loud for me. The best thing about this election right now is that people actually showed up. I think, like I asked Feezy earlier, was it the shutdown? Was it AI? Was it Snap? Was it whatever? I think that the greatest thing is New York showed up, Virginia showed up, New Jersey showed up. Not just Democrats, people actually exercise their right to vote, right? Which should be empowering. The next step, I think, is the greatest step that's lost is actually the implementation of the plan and having a strategy around that. And again, I think, just like to Hassan Pike and everyone else, it's cool to say working class, it's cool to say living wage, but what does it actually look like in policy? What does it look like in statute? What is the actual cost of a lot of these things? So we'll see. Again, I feel it's going to be great. 6 weeks, 6 months in, I feel a lot of the progressives turning against Mamdani, because if you've ever seen The Wire, you know it's a cycle of bullshit. So that's what it is. But just want to thank you. I'll take a little quick break. Thank everyone who's tapped into the stream. We've had over 79,000 people tap in so far. Thank you for taking time out of your night watching your boy. We're still waiting on Mamdani. We're going to get back to him. Hold on, let me switch this back up. But I just wanted to take a moment to say thank y'all for taking time out of your evening. Wrapping up with your boy. We may go another 2 hours to midnight. Get that prop 50 in. Twice. I'm gonna leave here till he goes live for real. I'm gonna mute her. Let me get to this other Hakeem Jeffries piece. Y'all know I don't like Hakeem Jeffries.
Have you. I'm here with my colleague, Hallie Jackson. We've got a couple of questions for you. We have to start in your home city right here of New York. You did in the home stretch, endorsed the Democratic nominee, Zoran Mamdani. As you know, President Trump endorsed Andrew Cuomo overnight. Governor Cuomo telling me today he thinks, yes, that's going to earn him a few more of the Curtis Sliwa votes. Do you think that Mamdani can have a victory tonight?
Yes, Zohran's going to be the next mayor of the city of New York. He's run a relentlessly focused campaign on affordability. The cost of living is way too high in New York City, in the communities that I represent, and all across the city of New York. That, in fact, is the case we know throughout the country. And, of course, Donald Trump hasn't kept his promise to lower costs. In fact, he said he was going to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down. They're going up all across the country. Grocery prices up, housing costs up, childcare costs up, utility prices through the roof. And now, as we've been working our way through this Trump shutdown in Washington, D.C., Republicans want to increase health care premiums on tens of millions of Americans because of their refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit.
Man. I don't fuck with
I think Zohran's going to win,
real.
and it's going to be incumbent upon all of us in the city of New York to make sure that he is as successful a mayor as he can possibly be.
So, Leader Jeffries, it's Hallie Jackson, by the way. Thanks for being with us. Let me ask you this, because you've also suggested that Zoran Mamdani is not the face of the future of the Democratic Party. And there are those around him who think you're wrong on that, who think he potentially has real appeal beyond simply New York City. We could talk all day about how special and unique New York is. I get it. It's not a place where you necessarily will extrapolate nationally if you're a Democrat. But can you talk a little bit more about that piece of it and what through lines you see now that you might be talking with your conference about come 2026 ahead of the midterms? If, you know, you've seen already Abigail Spanberger sail to a win, if Mamdani comes out big in New York, if Mikey Sherrill's able to pull it out in Jersey.
Well, it's my expectation that Mikey Sherrill is going to be the next governor of the state of New Jersey, that we're going to win the statewide races in Pennsylvania. We're going to crush it in California. We've seen Democrats actually win statewide in Georgia. And, of course, Abigail Spanberger coasted to victory. And it looks like every single Democrat on the statewide ticket in the Commonwealth of Virginia is also going to win. This is a rout for Democrats all across the country. Now, as House Democrats, what we've said from the very beginning of this year is that we need to relentlessly focus on driving down the high cost of living and fixing our broken health care system that Donald Trump and Republicans are making worse by the day. And as long as we stay on these kitchen table pocketbook issues, while, of course, addressing the extremism that Donald Trump and Republicans continue to unleash on the American people, what we're seeing tonight is going to be replicated a year from now when Democrats take back control of the House of Representatives.
I don't see that happening right now, to be fair, because I don't think the same America that's buying into this narrative today is going to buy into that tomorrow, right? One, because the government's going to be open. Let's be fair. People going to have their SNAP benefits. So we can't compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. And I just realized, I think I threw the deuces up. Y'all saw the balloons? Hold on, let me see it. They pop, hey, balloons. I didn't do that on purpose, y'all. I don't even know where the balloons came from. But clearly, let's see if we get one more time. We'll be actually being serious. Hey, celebrate. Hey, I'm going to start charging for that. It's $1 for this. Let me see what this does. Hold on. Oh, bitch. I didn't even know this was possible. Hey, $10. $10. What's a high five do? High five? High five? That killed it, didn't it? Damn it. Hey, man, but either way, Hakeem Jeffries, he's not my cup of tea for an elected official. I forgot where I was going. Them balloons and this shit done distracted me. Let me get another one. Hold on, man. 2 thumbs up. Come on, camera. Ah, there it is. I'm a big ass kid for real. I forgot where I was going. Let me get back to this, man. Hakeem Jeffries be pissing me off though.
You think they could do the Senate as well? You just called it a rout tonight. It sounds like you think they'll flip the House.
I knew I was. We're not going to be in the same situation next year. The government's going to be open. People going to have their SNAP benefits. And overall, the economy's not going to be where it is right now. Hopefully. Hopefully it's not worse, right? You have to hope that Americans will look at Hakeem Jeffries and say, I don't want you to be Speaker of the House for real, bro. It's not even a black or white issue. I just don't think you're a leader for real. And I don't think most people look at you and say, yeah, I want you to negotiate for me, because it's the same talking points of bullshit that just get old after a while.
Do you think they could do the same for the Senate?
I think the Senate is going to be a big surprise a year from now, particularly if the trend lines continue to move in our direction. Keep in mind, listen, we've won every statewide race that has been held this year, starting with the Wisconsin State Supreme Court race in April. We've won all of the high-profile special elections, beginning in a state Senate seat in Iowa in January that Donald Trump had just won a few months prior by 21 points. And so what we're seeing tonight is the culmination of something that has been building since the very beginning of the Trump presidency, which has been a complete and total failure of Republican control of government.
Leader Jeffries, let me ask you, because, of course, this election night occurring against the backdrop of what is poised to be the longest government shutdown now in U.S. history. There has been some discussion that lawmakers, the Senate in particular, getting closer to a potential off-ramp. At this hour, are you optimistic that you will be able to end this government shutdown this week?
Well, we've said from the very beginning, listen, we want to sit down with Republicans, and we're willing to do so anytime, any place, in order to reopen the government, in order to enact a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people. But at the same time, we have to decisively address the Republican health care crisis. We've also said as House Democrats that we will evaluate in good faith anything that is bipartisan that emerges from the Senate. Part of the problem that we've confronted over the last 35 days, Donald Trump has spent more time on the golf course than he has in talking with Democrats who represent half the country.
You know, the issue I have, again, and I've said this over the past week, is Democrats aren't even addressing real issues. Again, like, I don't know what Hakeem Jeffries may have received from Amazon. Actually, I may put it up on the side, right? But Amazon has been cutting damn jobs. And it gets to a point of saying, okay, if these people are losing their jobs and you're only focused on the federal workers and all these other things, it's like you're not really talking about the everyday stuff, right? And to me, it's like if the issues for everyday Americans change, the solutions will fit into one of these buckets, right? But when you're preaching something that doesn't kind of match up the expectations of, like, yeah, this is what we care about, then why the fuck are people gonna vote? Why are people gonna vote for Democrats? Again, I feel that this isn't a sign for them waving like, hey, yeah, it's Democrats. I think it's like, yeah, hey, at least y'all talking about half some shit I agree with. Everything else is some bullshit. Because Hakeem Jeffries be bullshit. My 2 cents. What was I going with here? What's his name? Wes Moore? I'm still waiting on Zim.
We are closely watching California tonight, where
I'm still waiting on Zimbani to speak. I know I butchered his name just to get the chat popping.
we are closely watching California tonight, where polls in California remain open for just a few more hours. Voters in California deciding a measure to redraw California's congressional map. A yes vote on Proposition 50 would open the door for Democrats to gain as many as 5 more seats in Congress. In next year's midterms, that would effectively counteract the Republican redistricting that was ordered up by President Trump in Texas, where they are trying to send 5 more Republican members of Congress from Texas next year. Tonight's vote in California is crucial, but by no means does it put an end to this national fight. In addition to Texas, we've got Republicans in Missouri and Ohio and North Carolina all trying to push through new maps that will aim to give their party a leg up in Congress. That, in turn, has triggered more blue states to respond. That's why we are seeing these people lined up in California tonight to vote on Prop 50. But I will tell you, the latest Democratic-controlled state to weigh in on this just today is the great state of Maryland. Democratic Governor Wes Moore of Maryland has announced as of today that his state is going to form a new redistricting advisory commission. According to Governor Moore's office, this bipartisan commission will solicit public feedback from voters. It will ultimately make recommendations to Governor Wes Moore and to Maryland's legislature on how to potentially change, how to improve their congressional map.
Some big news there, and joining us now is Wes Moore, Democratic governor of Maryland. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. It's a great evening.
All right, you're already excited. Happy election evening. Tell us about this effort. Are you trying to Trump-proof any election rigging? And if so, does that mean you have a partisan agenda in this project?
No, it just simply means that I want to make sure that Maryland has fair maps come next November when people vote. And, you know, and just to remind people why we are here, the reason that we are even in this situation is Donald Trump decided that he wanted to try to rig elections because he knew that his policies weren't popular. So he started picking and choosing which states that he thought should go through processes to determine whether or not they had fair maps. And as soon as this happened, I was just very clear that if we were going to have a mid-cycle conversation, national conversation about who has fair maps, that there was no way that Maryland was going to sit on their hands. If you look at the maps that Maryland has assembled right now, the maps that Maryland has assembled right now were put together in days and cut up neighborhoods, cut up jurisdictions. And so the reason that I made this announcement today and where I ordered a governor's redistricting advisory commission is because we are going to have a bipartisan group of leaders who are going to listen to the people of the state of Maryland, because we are just going to ensure that we will have fair maps within our state. And so we can have a situation when people are voting next November that the will, the hopes, and the aspirations of the people of Maryland will be heard after going through a fair process.
I have to interrupt you just for a moment. I'm sorry, Governor Moore. I'm sorry, Ari. We do have a call in Virginia. We have a call in the lieutenant governor's race. NBC News can now project that Ghazala Hashmi, the Democratic candidate for lieutenant governor in Virginia, has prevailed in that race over Republican candidate John Reed. Again, that is a projection statewide for the lieutenant governor's race in Virginia. That means NBC News has now projected both the Virginia governor and Virginia lieutenant governor's races have been won.
The biggest thing I think Democrats also need to realize is they didn't flip any seats over for real. They didn't flip any major strongholds, right? Where you're flipping over a whole legislature like a Florida or Georgia, or Mississippi, and Alabama, North Carolina. They have a governor there that doesn't have any control constitutionally over the maps that the legislature can draw or will draw. So collectively, I get the Mamdani win, but it's also a fact of Democrats have a long way to go to flip this shit right where they need to get it.
By Democrats. I also need to update our call earlier from the Virginia Attorney General's race. In that case, we do not yet have a call on who is projected to win, but rather than being too early to call, the race for Attorney General in Virginia is now described as too close to call between Democrat Jay Jones and incumbent Republican Jason Miyares. Back to you.
Really striking there. We're going to obviously get into those results while we appreciate the governor hanging with us. You know what it's like on election nights. You've been in some yourself. So we're balancing. Thanks for staying with us. Go ahead.
You can interrupt me with news like that anytime you want.
Well, it takes us to the next question, which is you were just talking about the future midterm planning. As for tonight, it is early in the night. But what do you see here for your party? And specifically, are you doing anything different than the Democratic message a year ago tonight?
Well, you know, listen, it's a great night for democracy. And honestly, it really highlights the things that I had heard. I mean, I campaigned hard on behalf of Abigail Spanberger and on behalf of Mikey Sherrill. And whether I was with students over in Blacksburg who were talking about since Donald Trump has been in office that they have seen how their job prospects have now declined, whether I was with veterans in Richmond who are seeing how this federal government shutdown is having a direct impact on veterans because 1 in 4 federal government employees is actually a military veteran. And this shuttering that we are seeing, 30,000 people who are being fired from the VA, it's not just impacting veterans, it's impacting the veterans who are working at the VA. Or whether when I was in New Jersey, in Newark, and with preachers over in Newark campaigning on behalf of Mikey Sherrill, who are seeing how we have an administration who is spending their time and their effort banning books. And so the thing that we are seeing right now, and the thing that I'm really excited about is, our push in Maryland, around affordability, our push in Maryland around public safety, that people are seeing that the Democrats, this is a big tent and a big party. And whether it's, our focus that we've had where, we've seen as the Trump administration has tried to ban books in Maryland, I signed legislation banning the banning of books. That we have said that we're going to build more housing and build faster because we've got to increase inventory, or whether I made the large investments in local law enforcement in our state's history, that we're all focused on the same issues: affordability, public safety, and creating opportunity for people, and that this party might have a different ways of being able to get there, but our focus and our North Star stays exactly locked in.
The issue I have here, Governor, is I believe your state was about, what, $6 to $12 billion in debt? Now, California is a whole nother issue. They're at 2030, right? I also have friends who've told me, bro, you need to look at the fact of Maryland, you got to pay for every damn thing. And they say that Governor Moore is fucking up a lot of things. Now, I've been fair. I think he's very personable, but I do get tired of the talking points across the board. I think the Blacksburg piece about the students is good, but at the same time, y'all know good and damn well y'all don't listen to students. So why the fuck we even bring them into the conversation? You know what politicians say about students? Students don't vote. The progressives vote. The progressive and conservative students, they vote. But majority of students, not either one of those. They're independents, MPA, no party affiliates. And they don't vote. So respectfully, Governor, I get it, but I ain't with it.
He spent a lot of time crisscrossing the city, on the ground, in neighborhoods. And typically when I travel throughout the city, there's only one candidate that I see a real visible presence from, and that's Curtis Sliwa. You see Curtis Sliwa posters on the Upper West Side and in East New York, but it seemed like it just did not translate for Curtis Sliwa. And perhaps Andrew Cuomo's message over the last few weeks that people should not vote for Curtis Sliwa because it would be essentially a vote for Zoran Mamdani. It may have actually resonated with New Yorkers.
Yeah, the numbers seem to bear that out, don't they?
Yeah.
Here's one thing I hate. I'm not going to pause it. One thing I hate is the fact of the narratives they put out, right? They put out these narratives for people to get so upset and so passionate about politics and everything else. It's like, you know what? I get it, but there's got to be something better than fear. What do we have the fear besides fear itself? And I hate the fact that Republicans like Sean Hannity are pushing fear to his base. Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries are pushing fear to his base, Roland Martin too. And at the end of the day, you have Mamdani who could step in and be like, you know what? What solves the issue for everyday people? And how can we get there? And then they label the socialists. You label the fact of, okay, he's Muslim. The Jewish community should be scared. All these people, and it's just fear, fear, fear. And instead of being like, well, damn, when 9/11 happened, we were all brothers in this together. I'm from this city. I love this city, whatever. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're scared of what he could potentially do, as if there's not a legislative process that can derail things that he implements, as if there's not a judicial process that can legally challenge the shit he implements, or a strategy to implement, stop, and derail shit. His process. We're literally seeing it in DC. And people are sitting here hoping that this one move will change everything. And even for the Maryland governor, to be fair, I don't think it was Trump pushing the book bannings. It was happening under Biden's leadership in Republican governors and Republican states were having it happen. So now that we're fighting back for this narrative, I think we also should focus on the literacy rates, because for some odd reason, again, Mississippi's gone from maybe 49th in reading proficiency to top 6 by implementing phonics, which a lot of people have, not people, but schools have forgot about because they've been so focused on school choice and also focused on the fact of teaching to the test. Cool. Now we need to get back to the basic phonics, learning how to read. And that's what Mississippi's done. And if Mississippi can do it, we know everywhere can do it. But let's get back to this. I'm gonna take a bathroom break, get some water. Give me like 10 minutes. I'll be back though. I'll be off camera, but I'm gonna leave it up.
That everyone could remember, that everyone could get behind, and he rode that wave straight to a pretty decisive victory.
Andrew Cuomo derisively called him the TikTok
Here's
candidate.
what I'll do, actually.
But when we were with Mamdani doing that walking tour of Astoria, it was clear that he also had the retail politician chops, that he's good, he can come into a room, interact with people, and that's still that old-fashioned pressing the flesh still works in a mayor's race. And he got a lot of people, I think, that way to listen to him as well because of that ability to connect, just like AOC was able to connect in her congressional primary win over Joe Crowley.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't high tech, it was high touch.
Right.
It was the kind of campaign where, you know, an honorable mention to the whole team, right, because they did something that is kind of like a lost art in New York politics, unfortunately, which is run an old style campaign where you get a bunch of volunteers, not paid people, volunteers, and you get them to go out and knock on doors, and you ask people what's on their mind, and you write down on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to do this thing that our candidate, you know, wants you to do? And then you record it and you bring it back home, and then you start to build from there. That's the way you do it, and there's really no substitute for it. Earlier today, while I was resting and getting ready to come in, I heard a car go down the street with somebody yelling through a bullhorn or a sound system, "Make your voice heard, and don't forget to vote for Andrew Cuomo." And I was thinking, I compare that to the 8 different times that Mamdani people knocked on our door. It's just not comparable.
So you live in the heart of Brooklyn. I live on like the outer fringes of the city in the Rockaways. I've lived there since 1997. I've never had volunteers for a political candidate come to my door until this year. And it was just these young people knocking on my door. And you're right, he had an army, and they went all the way out to the fringes, and not just to your house in Brooklyn.
And it was pretty glaring that Andrew Cuomo did not have a robust ground game. When you think about it, the first campaign that he worked on was back in 1982, when there was no social media. And so candidates did have to rely on being out there, attending every parade, going to all of these different local events, standing at a subway station. And so Andrew Cuomo grew up in politics. He's been a part of it for decades. And yet when it came time to run this campaign for mayor here in New York City, it seemed like he just never really got into a rhythm of having a robust group of supporters who he could deploy to go out, even if Cuomo himself wasn't out there, having representatives, having people handing out flyers, connecting with folks. It never really seemed to resonate. And the few times that he was really out and connecting with a larger group of people, he was on top of a truck with a megaphone, kind of yelling at people, as opposed to spending that direct personal time.
And Mamdani wasn't even alive in 1982 when Mario Cuomo was elected governor, and Andrew Cuomo was learning those political skills. It's a really simply amazing doing.
Yeah, and we should point out, Mamdani in the past was the organizer. He was the lead field organizer on multiple campaigns that were supported by the Democratic Socialists. So there was the one with the candidate El Yatin, in the Palestinian candidate in Bay Ridge. He worked on the campaign of Tiffany Caban when she ran for District Attorney of Queens. He worked on the AOC campaign, you know. So
Ross Barkan.
Ross Barkan worked. He helped Ross Barkan in a failed candidacy for state senate. So he actually knows this stuff, and of course it helps if the candidate can sort of tell, no, this isn't the right way to do it. Let me show you how you do it. You line up the people, you get the volunteers, you get them the walking list. You count every night how many doors were knocked.
Well, Donovan Richards is a great example of that, a former staffer who's now the borough president. Joanna Areola, city councilwoman in Queens, a former staffer. So sometimes being the player manager or learning how the sausage is made can be helpful for a staffer to become politician. Bill de Blasio, campaign manager for Hillary Clinton's Senate run. So maybe we're onto something here, that the best training is behind the scenes before you go in front of the scenes.
But there is another factor that Zoran Mamdani has, and that's charisma. He knows how to interact with people, and he also has stage presence. I mean, he is a former performer, right? He grew up with someone who works in the entertainment industry, and so he does also bring that to his campaign, is that he knows how to connect with people. He, you know, that smile, that handshake, he knows how to draw people in with that charismatic personality, and I think that went a long way as well.
I could not agree with you more, that you could have that same message, the same ideology that he has, give it to another candidate, and that candidate could go absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, one part of his appeal and part of how he built his politics, one of the things he just did the other night, apparently he went out on his overnight tour to greet third shift workers, and apparently went to JFK, and they said, you know, those long cab lines, the yellow cabs, they said he went and shook the hand of every cab driver who was there. Now, the next person that they pick up for the next 24 hours or the next 2 shifts,
that's all they're going to
say,
hear about.
you know, that's all they're going to hear about. And this is somebody who stood up for them, by the way, went on a hunger strike with them back when they had a financial crisis that was really hurting a lot of the medallion owners and renters, stood with them when really almost no other politicians would. So, you know, he built his support the old-fashioned way. He built it the honest way.
But it also, even though ideologically they couldn't be more different, they're both Democrats. That's what Bill Clinton would do, working the line, working the room, going into a room and feeling like he's connecting to you one-on-one, feeling your pain. And Mamdani has that skill set as well.
Yeah, I was looking. The video was floating around. When he won the assembly seat, he displaced in a primary a sitting member of the assembly. And I remember interviewing him from my living room because we were on lockdown conditions and he was in his living room or wherever he was. And it was, he wasn't that different from how he is right now. He was, he was very pleasant, very appealing. In fact, that was our conversation. I said, look, your campaign is going around saying socialism won. You just seem to be a very bright, personable young man. You should consider the fact that maybe that's why you won. And I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of analysis that, yes, there's what he believes in, and his opponents especially say that that's all he is, but there's much more to the story.
There is certainly much more to the story, and I think from what I've heard, I know there was some concern initially after when he first won the Democratic primary that, some people were concerned that they might be pushed out of Mamdani City Hall. We don't know who this person is. He won the Democratic primary in some cases without some of the traditional African-American neighborhoods that candidates would always have to stop by and try and win. And people were worried, what will happen to our political party? Will we have a voice in City Hall if Zoran Mamdani does become mayor? But what I began to hear is that when people reached out to Mamdani and to his campaign, they were responsive and they listened. And we have heard over time Mamdani begin to shift some and moderate some of his positions. So it does seem like he is listening. He has been responsive. Of course, there are two very different and distinct phases to this. There's the campaigning phase and then the governing phase. And so we still haven't seen, he's still untested in terms of being a manager and a leader, particularly of an organization as large as the city of New York. But yes, so far we have seen him moderate and shift and seem like he's listening. Even in his interview with you, Errol, when he sat down and he spoke and indicated that he wanted to make some changes that would perhaps benefit landlords, right? That was a group of people that were concerned about Zoran Mamdani. He's only talking about renters. So it'll be fascinating to see if that tone continues through to the governing phase in a Mamdani City Hall.
It's interesting. One of the things that he was accused of by Andrew Cuomo and others of being sort of an ideologue, a rigid ideologue, I just remember thinking, like, that's the one thing that he's not.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's got some strongly held views, and you cannot budge him on things related to the Middle East, for example. But on a lot of other issues, an amazing amount of flexibility and, sort of, just kind of rational good sense and saying, well, we'll have to figure some of this out along the way.
Well, it's now a 2-month sprint. The transition is now almost upon us. I remember the Bill de Blasio transition from Bloomberg to de Blasio was not smooth. This is the first leadership challenge that Zoran Mamdani has before he even takes office. Can you build a team? Can you come up with the policy positions that don't feel like they were written on the back of an envelope? Can you hit the ground running on January 1st? De Blasio didn't. Those first 2 months should have been a honeymoon, and they weren't. Adams had a little bit of that, but remember, we were still in the middle of a pandemic. So this is his next big challenge, the biggest challenge of his life, even before he takes office.
And Zoran Mamdani is also going to have to win some people and bring them along. There are still some Jewish New Yorkers who may not feel comfortable with his leadership. Also, the NYPD. He's had some pretty harsh statements to make about the NYPD in the past, which he has since walked back. But how will he get the NYPD on board with his leadership?
Okay, we've got some stuff going on. We got some video in from one of our teams out in the field. We've got people all over the city, folks, tonight. Let's see some of what has been going on out across the 5 boroughs. They were watching New York 1, good call, when we called the race for Mamdani. Let's go to our Bernadette Hogan. Yes, there she is. Election night party in downtown Brooklyn is where you are. We see the news that Mamdani, we're going to go to Cuomo. Okay, we'll have sound in just a minute. We see Andrew Cuomo and his family on your screen. He is about to speak. We will bring that to you when he begins to speak.
You're taking my time. First, let me, I love you too. I love you too. Let me acknowledge part of my special campaign team. We have from the right, Elif Lundaval, the new son-in-law, husband of Mariah. Mariah, Cara, Michaela. I want to thank our campaign chairman, Bill Mulrow, our great campaign manager, Greg Goldner. I want to thank.
Okay, we're going to take this back for just a minute. We're going to go back to Andrew Cuomo in just a minute with a better feed. Let's see if we can connect that now.
And that was a very gracious thing to do. I want to thank Mayor Bloomberg, who gave us his support, Governor David Patterson, all the unions, and I am blessed. I am blessed to have the people in this room. You have been a phenomenal team, great friends. You are superstars. Even more, you are New York patriots, and I am proud of you. This campaign was the right fight to wage, and I am proud of what we did and what we did together. This campaign was to contest the philosophies that are shaping the Democratic Party, the future of this city, and the future of this country. And this coalition transcended normal partisan politics. It brought together Democrats and Republicans and independents, joined by the simple fact that their first allegiance is as citizens of New York City. $2 million voters, the largest number in modern political history, cared enough to show up in a municipal election. And 42% voted for us on an independent line. That is the highest percentage in modern history. Ironically, it is just higher than when Mario Cuomo got 40% on an independent line against Ed Koch in 1977. It's also important to note that almost half of New Yorkers did not vote to support a government agenda that makes promises that we know cannot be met. We support an economy of jobs, of opportunity, of entrepreneurship. That's what New York is, and that's what New York must remain. We are a nation of laws, and we believe in law and order, and we need the police to keep society safe. We will not make the NYPD the enemy. We cherish our diversity, and we have no tolerance for discrimination of any kind by race, religion, sexual orientation, or creed. And we will not tolerate any behavior that fans the flames of anti-Semitism or diverse attacks. Our strength is our unity. Black, white, brown, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist. We are one. We are the family of New York. We believe in interconnection and mutuality and codependence. And you attack one of us, you attack all of us. That is what it means to be a New Yorker. No one and nothing will ever divide us. And this campaign was necessary to make that point.
Was it really though?
A caution flag that we are heading down a dangerous, dangerous road. Well, we made that point, and they heard us, and we will hold them to it. Also, my friends, feel proud because we accomplished the two important New York characteristics.
Hold on. My bad, y'all.
Because our city is the greatest city in the world, and we will unite for New York City because we love New York City. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you. I love you for the fight you made, for the soul that you showed, and the example that you set. New York City heard us, and we will be the better for it. Thank you, and God bless you.
Took that L like a loser. I don't see how you lose in the primary and you come back in the general and speak as if you actually won. Or like 42, we got 42%, 2 million people came out to vote. You didn't win twice. Quietly, you would have probably been more competitive in a head-up race, but that clearly didn't happen. It's just wild. Let me close some of these extra windows we got in here, y'all. Cause Donnie done playing Kanye. Let me stop playing that before I get, cause I know how YouTube gets.
Nigga, I be spiked out.
Hold on, they playing all kind of music that'll get me dinged.
Bless you.
Cool, that's who he's behind. Cuomo losing. People anticipated. Getting nothing new.
Speech that was quite fiery and defiant in many respects, saying that he's going to hold the new administration to some of the promises, pointing out to the crowd in front of him that nearly half of New York, in his opinion, voted against the winning proposals and propositions of the mayor-elect. We'll see whether or not that has political legs after tonight. He had to say something to his supporters.
It wasn't enough because he ain't said enough for people to actually go out and vote. Let's go to Mickey Sherrill.
We see Mikey Sherrill, the projected winner of the New Jersey governor's race, nearing the podium, at the podium. Let's listen in.
They always say we're loud, but man, with this vote, you guys just scream from the rooftops. And people around the country have heard you. I hear you too. This was a tough fight, and this is a tough state. But I know you, New Jersey, and I love you. I've fought for you. I've spoken with thousands of you over this last year. I know your struggles. I know your hopes. I know your dreams. So serving you is worth any tough fight I have to take on, and I am incredibly honored to be your next governor.
Smash. BDA, 14, 13 point, whatever. Hold on.
When I was 18, I raised my hand, and I swore to defend the Constitution. And that moment defines me. It taught me that leadership means carrying the weight of other people's hopes, standing firm when it's easier to bend, and always putting the common good above personal gain. And I know how hard it can be to serve in these times. And I just got a call from Jack Chittarelli, and I want to recognize him for stepping up. And all of you know, I I love our history, and our state motto has always stuck with me. In 1777, New Jersey was one of the first states to choose a motto. Anybody?
Nope.
Liberty and prosperity. I'm going to get some more civics education going. We'll get that known by all. But it was a demand for freedom from oppression and a commitment to creating better opportunity and a better future. That idea has defined us for almost 250 years. We fought for liberty at the crossroads of the American Revolution, turning the tide for our young nation at the battles of Trenton and Princeton. We offered prosperity as we built the nation during the Industrial Revolution. We've been the cradle of scientific discovery, inventing everything from the light bulb to the laser. Liberty and prosperity. I've seen the genius in that motto over the last year, because both are essential in our democracy. And as the president is backing away from this ideal, cutting SNAP, ripping away health care, terminating Gateway, we here in New Jersey are bound to fight for a different future for our children. We see how clearly important liberty is. We know that no one in our great state is safe when our neighbors are targeted, ignoring the law and the Constitution. But prosperity is equally essential. Liberty alone is not enough if the government makes it impossible for you to feed your family, to get a good education, or to get a good job. So in this country, that shouldn't be too much to ask. But right now, all of it seems at risk. Governors have never mattered more. And in this state, I am determined to build prosperity for all of our citizens. And I've heard from thousands of you about what liberty and prosperity mean to you, what it's going to take for your family to thrive. So I hear you, Newark. I'm going to work with communities from the ground up so all of our neighbors thrive. I hear you, Sham, so I'm going to declare a state of emergency on day one to drive down your utility costs. I hear you, Westfield, so I'm going to make sure our kids are safe online and schools have the resources they need to address the mental health crisis. I hear you, Jersey City, so I'm going to hold government accountable, balancing individual liberty with collective responsibility, ensuring people are safe, healthy, educated, and free to pursue their dreams. I hear you, New Jersey. Good government doesn't just manage problems, it solves them. So I'm going to continue to listen and work with you to move our state forward, because I have learned so much as I've traveled our state. Our innovations, our businesses, our inventors and entrepreneurs have amazed me, but it's the people that have left the biggest mark, especially those who are fighting for prosperity for their entire communities. I was moved during my block walk in Trenton with Shanique as she spoke so passionately about the promise of her city and her neighbors despite the challenges. I love the group of young men from Monroe who've been hard at work on this campaign. They want a seat at the table and they're ready to fight for their future. The little girls who come up to me to say that they're going to be a governor or they're going to be a president. It reminds me of my own belief that anything was possible. Akeem's team, who worked their butts off, knocked over 60,000 doors. Akeem told me these are not the kids who will succeed in Trump's vision of this country, but they will in mine. The men and women in labor. union jobs at a time when our economy is set up to make it harder and harder for working people. You know what? They don't just fight for their brothers and sisters in labor. They fight for all of us. For working families everywhere, so everyone has a shot. So thank you. Thank you to each and every person here tonight and across the state who's worked hard over the last year. Thanks to the thousands of volunteers who made millions of calls, texts, and canvasses, to everyone who's ready to stand and demand a better future for our kids and our families. To my running mate, Dr. Dale Caldwell. You've already served our state so well, and I'm proud to have you by my side as we embark upon this new chapter for New Jersey. To my team, who put together a campaign the likes of this state has never seen, and helped in our efforts to create a great future for New Jersey. And thanks to my family, who put up with missed soccer games, lacrosse games, football games, volleyball games, swim meets, and rugby games, all to put up with this, so thank you. And a special thanks to my husband, Jason. Through 4 kids, 2 dogs, a hamster, numerous goldfish, 5 campaigns, an insurrection, and 2 impeachments, you have been a truly amazing partner. So thank you to everyone who's joined me in fighting for a better future. I know these are tough times. I know not everyone voted for me, but I'm working for everyone. Every single one of you. When we all do better, we all do better. So tomorrow begins a new day. And at each new day in New Jersey, the sun rises over the Statue of Liberty, a daily reminder of her promise. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. She declares that her lamp lights the path to the golden door. That golden door is New Jersey. It always has been. And that expectation is well deserved, especially after this election, where we chose, we're going to follow Lady Liberty's beacon. We're not going to give in to our darker impulses. Here in New Jersey, we know that this nation has not ever been, nor will it ever be, ruled by kings.
Polls just closed in California, y'all. The Democrats just saved democracy.
We take oaths to a constitution, not a king. We've chosen liberty, the very foundation of democracy, and we've chosen prosperity necessary to create opportunity for all. So New Jersey, to quote the boss, the future is now. Roll up your sleeves, let your passion flow. The country we carry in our hearts is waiting. Thank you, New Jersey.
New Jersey Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill giving voice to what is undoubtedly.
That's Governor Mikey. And we still waiting on Zohran. I'll play a lot of music that'll get this video dinged by YouTube. So we're waiting on Zohran, the new mayor of New York City, to show up on channel, on stream. Let's go back to NYC News.
Mamdani takes the stage, and we'll bring that to you in its entirety. Right now, though, there's a lot of celebrating going on all over the city. We've got some footage out of Astoria, right there on Steinway Street, where in the heart of his district. There you go. People taking the celebration of Mamdani's win into the street, stopping traffic, gathering in crowds, sipping that good Yemeni coffee, having a great time out there. We've got reaction coming in from other lawmakers. This is national and even international news, folks. The senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, put out a tweet saying, starting at 1% in the polls, Zoran Mamdani pulled off one of the great political upsets in modern American history. Yes, we can create a government that represents working people and not the 1%. I look forward to working with Zoran as he builds a city that works for all. Governor Kathy Hochul tweeted, just spoke to Mayor-elect Zoran K. Mamdani and told him, I'm looking forward to working together to make our city more affordable and livable. Congratulations to him and to every New Yorker who made their voice heard in one of the city's highest turnout elections on record. Governor Hochul, of course, will be a key ally for this mayor-elect, since especially because we're going into a tough budget.
Listen, tax dollars going up in New York. I think it's eye-opening. This is really what America is. It's like anybody's dream is possible. The man, 1%, became the mayor of New York. You got to respect it after a while. You could hate if you want to, but you got to respect the grind and the fact of being able to relate to people where they are. And I think that's, even though I've knocked Democrats on the stream tonight, I think that'll be something that'll really help them realize, like, damn, okay, if we are going to talk to the middle class, how do we get this language into policy? How do we get into something that makes sense to both sides? Not just Democrats. We have to speak to everybody. And I think Zoran was speaking to everybody, because essentially you had to have some Republicans who voted for him. Not every, it couldn't be 95, 99% of all Republicans voted for Cuomo. But it has to be some conversation in there. But then again, there's enough people voted against him to realize, hey, half the city split. So you're never really going to have majority support on anything. But it'll be interesting to see how everything goes forward, especially for all the passion and excitement and emotions around the progressive side of the Democratic campaigns or Democratic movement to get there. But let's tap back in to NYC elections. NY1. Gavin Newsom going live tonight too. Hold on, let me switch over. Oh, my shit froze. Damn, chat. My bad. We gonna catch it. Don't worry. Ooh. My bad on that, chat. Appreciate y'all working through the technical difficulties. Staying with us.
to shoulder with our brothers and sisters in organized labor at 1 a.m. in Queens, at 4 p.m. in Manhattan, at 6 a.m. in Brooklyn, at every time of day and night in every corner of the city, and we are so grateful for your partnership. And we are so proud to be backed by dozens of elected leaders, from the local to the state to the federal level. And we know that the relationships that we have built will only deepen from City Hall as we work together to transform New York into a city where every person can live a dignified life. I also want to thank our incredible campaign staff. You have sacrificed your social lives and your sleep schedules, and you have given so much to this movement, and then when Cuomo decided to get back into the race, you dug deep and gave more. I have been so honored to work with you, learn from you, and support you as you have faced unprecedented scrutiny and at times ugliness and threats from our opponents. You have built a historic campaign, so please give them all a round of applause. And please join me in celebrating the person who has been Zoran's right hand from day one, whose deep commitment to our movement and care for our people has infused every part of this campaign from top to bottom, and without whom we would not be here tonight, El Biscard Church.
Let me zoom it out. It look a little better. My bad, y'all.
But I also want to speak to his strength as a person. He has led our team and this movement with grace, curiosity, good humor, and thoughtfulness. And this race has been difficult. He has been the subject of attacks and threats, but he has truly risen above it all to give us hope. So please join me in giving Zoran, our friend, a round of applause. Too many supporters to name, so I want to speak to everyone directly. Please raise your hand if you have given to this campaign, whether that is time, labor, knocking a door, hosting an event, creating art. And if you are one of the this is beautiful. And if you are one of the tens of thousands of people who contributed but cannot be with us tonight, this is for you as well.
Supposed to be like little celebration.
You have made history. You set unreachable goals and then exceeded them. You believed in this city and believed in each other. And you achieved something that people will speak of for decades to come. You led with kindness and compassion. And most importantly, during a time of despair and rising fascism, you decided to fight for someone that you don't know. So thank you. Friends, the scope of this campaign was truly unprecedented. We had hundreds of thousands of conversations with our neighbors and trained leaders who will help us deliver our agenda for the next 4 years.
I made that bit when Zoran hit, bro. When Zoran dropped. What the hell is happening with this audio? Oh, it can't be me. What?
Who has been a part of this work from
It wasn't even on me.
She led Julia Salazar's groundbreaking campaign in 2018.
It wasn't even on me, y'all.
Since then, has been behind the scenes in so many of our victories. If this campaign made you feel powerful, or taught you something, or showed you discipline, or brought you joy, you have this person to thank. She is caring, wise, and deeply committed to our movement. And I am sure she is backstage losing her mind at being called out like this. But I need everyone here to please join me in giving her the longest and loudest round of applause. Our organizing director, Tasha.
I'm gonna get off this one. I got a better live stream. Same girl talk.
Thank you. This is very exciting.
I'm almost getting good at these switches, but almost.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Tasha, and I've had the honor of being the field director on this campaign. I first crossed paths with Zoran in 2017 on a city council campaign for Qadr al-Yatim in Bay Ridge. Zoran was the paid canvas manager, and I was volunteering on the campaign as a member of New York City Democratic Socialists of America. I don't think that we could ever have imagined that 8 years later, we would be here on election night for a mayoral campaign, 104,000 volunteers strong. 104,000 volunteers. We love numbers, we love metrics, but I want to talk first about what's behind those numbers. Every number is, in a way, an act of bravery. Door knocking is not the easiest thing. For many, including myself, it takes a moment of bravery at the beginning, asking a stranger something about their lives and sharing something about yours. Sharing what you want to see in the world, it can be daunting. Thousands of people did it. And every time, every volunteer went to a door and talked to a stranger, they offered their vision to that stranger and invited that stranger to be a part of shaping their vision.
What a terrible.
We love strangers. Every door knock and every phone call is a statement of belief that politics is for all of us. This campaign and this city is all of ours to shape. I also want to say something about field leads. For those who don't know, all of our canvases have been led by volunteers we call field leads. Many of them are here. Most led a shift every week, and some led a shift every week since December. And every time they led a canvas, and they were the ones welcoming new volunteers into our movement.
Bro, we ain't trying to hear from y'all all night.
They were the ones who helped inspire folks coming out to canvas for the first time. Without those 700 people who chose to step into leadership in an uncertain moment and try something new and scary, this field operation at this scale would not have happened.
Listen, everybody moving to Florida.
Those 700 people prove that leadership isn't about having all of the answers. It's about the willingness to step into the unknown and inspire others to imagine something better. So here are the numbers. Over 104,000 volunteers made over 4.4 million calls.
I'm sorry, we don't give a shit. We're trying to hear from the candidate. Respectfully.
Noon today, a volunteer knocked our 3 millionth door. Over 700 field leads have led over 5,700 canvases in 243 neighborhoods. 6,568 voters signed up to volunteer on the spot when they were canvassed by somebody. 8,389 voters signed up to volunteer when they were asked by a phone banker. These are unprecedented numbers. The bravery that you all have shown, that this field operation carried across all 5 boroughs, is going to transform our city. What all 100,400 of us have accomplished has rewritten the possibilities of mass democratic action. And it doesn't stop tonight. We all know that we won't stop at electing Zohran. We will continue to fight to bring the affordable of New York City to life. I am so excited to do that with all of you. And now I'm so honored to introduce the person you've been waiting to hear.
Come on, man. About time.
We've worked for many years to bring about change in New York City that it so urgently needs. He's been a friend, and he is the next mayor of the greatest city on earth.
Oh, feel like Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton, waiting in the wings for you. Let's go. Be a straight Hamilton box for real. Alexander Hamilton.
Thank you, my friends.
Big Zoe.
The sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands.
Change the night.
Fingers bruised from lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. These are not hands that have been allowed to hold power. And yet, over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
Big Zoe. Big Zoe. Clock it. Hey, Big Zoe.
I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name. As we turn the page on the politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change. A mandate for a new kind of politics.
Man, new kind of politics.
A mandate for a city we can afford. And a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that. On January 1st, I will be sworn in as the mayor of New York City.
Big Zoe. Big Donnie. Big Mayor.
And that is because of you. So before I say anything else, I must say this. Thank you. Thank you to the next generation of New Yorkers who refuse to accept that the promise of a better future was a relic of the past. You showed that when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership. We will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, ana minkum wa ilaykum. Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties. To every New Yorker in Kensington and Midwood and Hunts Point, know this. This city is your city, and this democracy is yours too. This campaign is about people like Wesley, an 1199 organizer I met outside of Elmhurst Hospital on Thursday night. A New Yorker who lives elsewhere, who commutes 2 hours each way from Pennsylvania because rent is too expensive in this city. It's about people like the woman I met on the BX-33 years ago, who said to me, I used to love New York, but now it's just where I live.
Damn.
And it's about people like Richard, the taxi driver I went on a 15-day hunger strike with outside of
Also
who still has to drive his cab 7 days a week. My brother, we are in City Hall now. This victory is for all of them. And it's for all of you. The more than 100,000 volunteers who built this campaign into an unstoppable force. Because of you, we will make this city one that working people can love and live in again. With every door knocked, every petition signature earned, and every hard-earned conversation, you eroded the cynicism that has come to define our politics. Now I know that I have asked for much from you over this last year. Time and again, you have answered my calls. But I have one final request.
Oh.
New York City.
Oh.
Breathe this moment in.
What?
We have held our breath for longer than we know. We have held it in anticipation of defeat. Held it because the air has been knocked out of our lungs too many times to count. Held it because we cannot afford to exhale. Thanks to all of those who sacrificed so much, we are breathing in the air of a city that has been reborn. To my campaign team, who believed when no one else did, and who took an electoral project and turned it into so much more, I will never be able to express the depth of my gratitude. You can sleep now. To my parents, Mama and Baba, you have made me into the man I am today. I am so proud to be your son. And to my incredible wife, Rama,
Chat, you popping first name, last name.
there is no
Make sure I
one
like and subscribe.
I would rather have by my side in this moment and in every moment. To every New Yorker, whether you voted for me for one of my opponents or felt too disappointed by politics to vote at all. Thank you for the opportunity to prove myself worthy of your trust. I will wake each morning with a singular purpose: to make this city better for you than it was the day before. There are many who thought this day would never come, who feared that we would be condemned only to a future of less, with every election consigning us simply to more of the same. And there are others who see politics today as too cruel for the flame of hope to still burn.
Papa, my bad. Next poll, I got you, bro.
New York, we have answered those fears. Tonight, we have spoken in a clear voice. Hope is alive.
I don't know. That's what y'all saying.
Hope is a decision that tens of thousands of New Yorkers made day after day. Volunteer shift after volunteer shift, despite attack ad after attack ad. More than 1 million of us stood in our churches, in gymnasiums, in community centers, as we filled in the ledger of democracy. And while we cast our ballots alone, we chose hope together. Hope over tyranny. Hope
Yes, it
over
got from
big
52
money
to
and small
49%.
ideas.
Y'all voting for it.
Hope over despair. We won because New Yorkers allowed themselves to hope that the impossible could be made possible.
Yeah, that's what you need. Democrats need that.
And we won because we insisted that no longer would politics be something that is done to us. Now it is something that we do.
Look at Alexander Hamilton out there for real. That's who he is. That's who he is.
Standing before you,
This shit is Hamilton in real life.
Jawaharlal Nehru. A moment comes but rarely in history when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends and when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance.
Hey.
Tonight we have stepped out from the old into the new.
Hey.
So let us speak now with clarity and conviction that cannot be misunderstood about what this new age will deliver and for whom. This will be an age where New Yorkers expect from their leaders a bold vision of what we will achieve, rather than a list of excuses for what we are too timid to attempt.
Bro, they want to hold his feet to the fire if you don't deliver, bro.
Central to that vision will be the most ambitious agenda to tackle the cost of living crisis that this city has seen since the days of Figueroa LaGuardia. An agenda that will freeze the rents for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. Make buses fast and free. And deliver universal child care across our city.
What's the cost of that, boy?
Years from now, may our only regret be that this day took so long to come. This new age will be one of relentless improvement. We will hire thousands more teachers.
How much?
We will cut waste from a bloated bureaucracy. We will work tirelessly to make lights shine again in the hallways of NYCHA developments where they have long flickered.
Ooh, LED lights and street lights.
Safety and justice will go hand in hand as we work with police officers to reduce crime and create a department of community safety that tackles the mental health crisis and homelessness crises.
Oh shit, he preaching.
Excellence
Big
will
Zo.
become the expectation across government, not the exception. In this new age we make for ourselves, we will refuse to allow those who traffic in division and hate to pit us against one another. In this moment of political darkness, New York will be the light.
In Florida?
Here, We believe
Oh
in
shit,
standing up
DeSantis.
for those we
Talking
love.
to you.
Whether you are an immigrant, a member of the trans community, one of the many black women that Donald Trump has fired from a federal job,
Oh God, here we go.
a single mom still waiting for the cost of groceries to go down,
Oh, clock it twice.
or anyone else with their back against the wall. Your struggle is ours too. And we will build a city hall that stands steadfast alongside Jewish New Yorkers and does not waver in the fight against the scourge of anti-Semitism. Where the more than 1 million Muslims know that they belong. Not just in the 5 boroughs of this city, but in the halls of power. No more will New York be a city where you can traffic in Islamophobia and win an election.
That's what they did to him. He coming out gunning.
Age will be defined by a competence and a compassion that have too long been placed at odds with one another. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about. For years, those in City Hall have only helped those who can help them. But on January 1st, we will usher in a city government that helps everyone. Now I know that many have heard our message only through the prison.
I heard the audio's clipping. Let me try to fix that real quick. My bad, y'all. 1 second. I'd rather have it good quality than some bullshit. Give me 1 quick second. Gotta reset. I don't know what's up with this. Is it the Mac? Is it a Mac issue? Because this is fucking me up. If some of y'all have to leave, I understand. Some of y'all stay up. I do appreciate it. But let me try to. Hopefully this fixes it. I'm trying to listen in too. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me see if this fixes it.
Of misinformation. Tens of millions of dollars have been spent to redefine reality and to convince our neighbors that this new age is something that should frighten them.
Sounds better to me. Appreciate y'all
As
patience.
has so often occurred, the billionaire class has sought to convince those making $30 an hour that their enemies are those earning $20 an hour. They want the people to fight amongst ourselves so that we remain distracted from the work of remaking a long broken system. We refuse to let them dictate the rules of the game anymore. They can play by the same rules as the rest of us. Together, we will usher in a generation of change. And if we embrace this brave new course, rather than fleeing from it, we can respond to oligarchy and authoritarianism with the strength it fears, not the appeasement it craves. After all, if anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him.
Oh, God. Big Zoe.
If there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power.
Big Trump, boy. Big Zoe after you.
This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one.
JD?
So Donald Trump,
Shit.
since I know you're watching,
Oh, shit.
I have 4 words for you.
Oh, talk to him, Big Zoe.
Turn the volume up.
Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Turn the volume up. Clock it, bitch. Oh, God. Did you hear that? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. That's the mayor. Big Zoe. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
That's the mayor.
Because the Donald Trumps of our city have grown far too comfortable Trump to evade taxation and exploit tax breaks.
Oh my God, Big
We will
Zoe.
stand alongside unions and expand labor protections because we know, just as Donald Trump does, that when working people have ironclad rights, the bosses who seek to extort them become very small indeed. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us. Enter City Hall in 58 days. Expectations will be high. We will meet them. A great New Yorker once said that while you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. If that must be true, let the prose we write still rhyme, and let us build a shining city for all. And we must chart a new path, as bold as the one we have already traveled. After all, the conventional wisdom would tell you that I am far from the perfect candidate. I am young, despite my best efforts to grow older. I am Muslim. I am a democratic socialist. And most damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of this. And yet, if tonight teaches us anything, it is that convention has held us back. We have bowed at the altar of caution, and we have paid a mighty price. Too many working people cannot recognize themselves in our party. And too many among us have turned to the right for answers to why they've been left behind. We will leave mediocrity in our past. No longer will we have to open a history book for proof that Democrats can dare to be great. Our greatness will be anything but abstract. It will be felt by every rent-stabilized tenant who wakes up on the first of every month, knowing the amount they're going to pay hasn't soared since the month before. It will be felt by each grandparent who can afford to stay in the home they have worked for, and whose grandchildren live nearby because the cost of childcare didn't send them to Long Island. It will be felt by the single mother who is safe on her commute and whose bus runs fast enough that she doesn't have to rush school drop-off to make it to work on time. And it will be felt when New Yorkers open their newspapers in the morning and read headlines of success, not scandal. Most of all, it will be felt by each New Yorker when the city they love finally loves them back. Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal... Let the words we've spoken together, the dreams we've dreamt together, become the agenda we deliver together. New York, this power, it's yours. This city belongs to you. Thank you.
Won't even hold you. That was a very powerful speech. Now, you can disagree with his politics for what it is. Good, inspiring speech. That's what it is. Almost Obama-esque, right? The issue will be the actual implementation. And he called out Big Trump, too. So you know Big Trump gonna clap back. And when Big Trump claps back, you know it's gonna go viral. You know it's gonna get Jasmine Crockett involved. And you know it's gonna be some low IQ everything and socialist, communist, whatever. But great speech. The man won. He's a mayor of the city. They can't say the election stolen. He spoke for a little bit of everybody. Unique, but this does feel like, in some aspect, respectfully, it's giving me Alexander Hamilton vibes. This is almost a Broadway play. The immigrants now elected in New York. Listen, this is not to make it. I'm descendant of immigrants, so I'm not knocking it at all. I don't know if it's a descendant of immigrants. I mean, they say American descendants of slaves, so I'm an American descendant of immigrant. But that's what we have now. The American descendant of immigrant. I kind of like that. Interesting. We have Gavin Newsom up next. He's supposed to be having a event about Prop 50. But quietly, this is what the people want to see. What I'm gonna do, respectfully, is I'm gonna thank each and every one of y'all for actually tapping in. I'm gonna log off. I got some clips to make. We've had over 111,000 people tap in and watch the stream tonight, watch some of our election coverage. It's almost midnight. The polls in California have closed. And guess what? Prop 50, I assume, is gonna pass because it polled well, right? But either way, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for taking time out of your evening to tap in with the stream. Now, the 300 plus of y'all that are here right now, if you have not subscribed, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Let's make sure that we can hit the 8,250 subscriber goal. That would be the goal for the night. I would love to get to 10,000, but we weren't there yet, right? But either way, make sure y'all like and subscribe. I'm gonna chop up some of this content. Make sure you also follow on TikTok, Hip Hop Lobbyist, Instagram, Hip Hop Lobbyist, and of course this channel, Hip Hop Lobbyist. But more than anything, how often do I stream? I try to stream every day, but I have clients. I'm a professional lobbyist. I work in the state of Florida, so I try to balance it out. I'm a full-time dad, full-time husband, full-time lobbyist, full-time energy consultant, a little bit of everything. And we'll get into some of my other work that I do as well, so we can kind of get into that. But I do appreciate FRTT, appreciate the subscription tonight. Really, also shout out to my boy Feezy the Great. If you were on when he was here, thank my boy for taking some time. We had some audio issues, but we're gonna work through that. But again, listen, this was a great stream tonight. I gotta do my normal sign off.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pillow at night.
We had over 111,000 people here again tonight. Thank each and every one of y'all. Appreciate you. Y'all be safe. We have a new mayor in New York, Big Zoe, called out Big Trump. The headlines from this are going to be amazing. Democrats really made it a good fight back as well. Great fight back in Virginia, a great fight back in New Jersey. They still have to fight a lot of redistricting in North Carolina and some other stuff, even though we won Prop 50. Florida, North Carolina, Maryland, I say, gonna fight back, get some Governor Wes Moore said, but we'll see where it all goes. Again, thank y'all for tapping in. Make sure you like and subscribe for more. I'm out.